The Toxic Avenger is finally available to watch at home. Macon Blair's certified fresh action comedy starring Peter Dinklage, Taylor Page, Jacob Tremblay, with Elijah Wood and Kevin Bacon is now available on your favorite digital platform. Go to toxicavenger.com/bloodyfm and get ready to laugh along to the radioactive mayhem from the comfort of your couch. That's toxicavenger.com/bloodyfm. Today's episode is sponsored by I Know What You Did Last Summer. Get it now on digital. When 5 friends inadvertently cause a deadly car accident, they cover up their involvement and make a pact to keep it a secret, rather than face the consequences. A year later, their past comes back to haunt them, and they're forced to confront a horrifying truth. Someone knows what they did last summer and is hell-bent on revenge. As one by one, the friends are stalked by a killer, they discover this happened before, so they turn to 2 survivors of the legendary Southport Massacre of 1997 for help. Starring Madeline Klein, Chase Sue Wonders, Jonah Hauer-King with Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt. I Know What You Did Last Summer is a perfect summer slasher, says Jordan Cruciolo of NPR. Your summer is not over yet. Don't miss a killer movie night at home.
You have to control yourself!
And welcome back to Horror Queers. We're talking 4 letters, begins with C, cold, C-O-L-D, cold. We're talking now, if it rains, or there's lightning, or thunder, or if it snows, I have to jack off. And we're talking, I believe that in our fast-moving computer age, it is the medium of television that joins together the global community. And it is the television journalist who serves as messenger, bringing the world into our homes and our homes into the world. It has always been my dream to become such a messenger. I look to you, gentlemen, now, to make that dream a reality. And I'm Joe.
I'm Trace, Mr. Monologuer, and we are talking, it's nice to live in a country where life, liberty, and all the rest of it still stand for something.
All the rest of it.
All the rest of it. Everyone, we teased it last week. I'm sorry, we announced it last week. We are discussing Gus Van Sant's 1995 masterpiece, To Die For, starring Nicole Kidman in one of her best roles ever.
Oh boy. Yeah, this was a very confusing time for me in the mid-90s because I teased this when we talked about Batman Forever, but Nicole Kidman in this period made me wonder what my sexuality was. I was having inklings about my persuasion towards the male side of the equation. And every time I watched Nicole Kidman in this era, I was like, something about this hair, something about this line delivery, something about the clothes. Oh, shocker, I'm a big old mo. But yeah, she and Keira Knightley in Bend It Like Beckham. I was just like, what's going on?
Keira Knightley and Bend It Like Beckham. That is a wild comparison to
to
your experience with Nicole Kidman in this movie. But
one's a little androgynous and one is hyperfemme.
Yeah, this movie was something I actually saw very late in life. And when I say late, I mean I want to say like after I was 30 because so the marketing. I remember the poster, the box art for this movie. You know, it's Nicole Kidman. She's like kind of like
sexy,
taking off her top a little bit, and she's just looking at you. And so I thought this was very much like an erotic thriller type movie for most of my life.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I asked my parents about it once, and my mom just goes, it's pretty weird. And I've come to learn that when it comes to dark comedies, that's my mom's go-to answer. It's weird.
Right. I just don't think Mama Trace enjoys this kind of stuff. Like, do you think it is the sexy aspect, but also that interplay between sex and comedy that she doesn't connect to?
I don't even think it's the sex part of it. I just think it's just the dark comedy. I mean, this is a uniquely toned film, we will say. Yeah. Like, it's part mockumentary, but it's also not mockumentary. And then we are making, I don't say making fun of, but we were making jokes out of statutory rape and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but nevertheless, I didn't know what this was about for the longest time until I want to say my husband was finally like, oh my God, you've never seen To Die For? We need to watch this immediately. And I loved it. This movie is so fun and funny. And Nicole Kidman, obviously, an actress of our times, but like, she's amazing in this movie.
Oh my God. Yeah, I can't remember. Did she get an Oscar nomination for this, or was it just one of those films where we thought she was going to?
She did not get an Oscar nomination, which was a surprise because she did win the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Musical or Comedy.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, I don't remember a ton about this film. I definitely didn't see it in theaters because I would have been too young. So I rented it from Blockbuster or the mom and pop shop somewhere in the late 90s. I remember thinking that this was actually kind of art house fare because I didn't know much about Nicole Kidman except for things like, oh, wasn't she in the Batman movie? So I was like, she's married to Tom Cruise and she's really hot and she does weird films like this. So I wasn't in a rush to see it. I think I also thought it was for straight people, kind of like Mama Trace. Maybe I thought it was an erotic thriller. But I remember when I watched it, it was probably like some kind of sleepover with my friend where we watched a ton of movies. But I remember thinking, tonally, this movie is doing weird things because I didn't appreciate the satire. I was trying to take it at face value, not appreciating that it was actually making fun of celebrity obsession, true crime. I didn't really even understand the end of the film. I was like, wait, so who actually killed her?
Right.
I think I was a bit of a dumb teenager.
It's David Cronenberg, sir. David Cronenberg kills her.
Fucking David Cronenberg. Like, how could I not love every aspect of this movie? Gay, Nicole Kidman, David Cronenberg.
It's funny because you said art house and you're not like too far off the mark there. Like this was very much like an indie film going mainstream almost.
Right.
So, and I think, indie and art house are easily confused, but this is such an entertaining film. Like nothing about this film is boring or slow, which I realize I'm saying that. I know. Sorry.
Shit, walk it back.
Art house movies are not boring and slow. However, they are more challenging. And I don't think this film was particularly challenging, although I guess if you didn't know it was satire, then yeah, it might be.
Yeah. I just remember thinking this doesn't have the same vibe or the same energy as a conventional Hollywood film. And also, I wasn't familiar with Gus Van Sant. So in some ways, I do think that this is a good marriage of his sensibilities, right? Mm-hmm. Like we talked about Gus Van Sant on the pod before when we talked about Elephant. And I think that that's a much starker, more melancholy take on a lot of the same issues that we're actually tackling here, albeit this is, not based in reality.
Not at all. I gotta say, with Gus Van Sant, I was kind of like, okay, like, I guess I didn't realize for the longest time that he was kind of like the gay indie director out there that was still dipping his toes into like mainstream Hollywood stuff. But so many of his films, I was like, oh, I haven't seen most of his films, save for the big ones, like To Die For, like that Psycho remake, like Milk. And I mean, I've seen Finding Forrester when I was a kid, but that's probably about it.
Well, I think for a long time, it was like him and Greg Araki were just kind of hanging out as part of the like new gay wave. So,
well, that's we can add this to that new gay wave, even though, to my knowledge, is there a single gay person in this movie?
I'm going to make the argument that there's at least two.
Lydia's one of them, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Lydia and Janice.
Okay. That's actually really funny because I kept getting Janice and Lydia's names screwed up in my notes. So that'll be really fun.
Yes.
But, okay, I'm not going to lie. I have a lot to talk about this movie because...
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Stacey Wilson Hunt with IndieWire for writing an oral history of this movie. And when I say oral history, I mean this is an interview with nearly every single person involved with the making of this film, except for Joaquin Phoenix, who declined to interview.
Oh, really? Okay, that's interesting because this is kind of one of the big breakout films for him, in addition to obviously Gladiator.
Well, I was also going to say, I think this is one of Joaquin Phoenix's best performances I've ever seen. Like,
God, he is super fucking funny in this.
He's really funny. He really he really lets you lower your guard. Like, I feel so much for this character. He's so dumb.
Oh, yeah.
He's so dumb.
He's so stupid. But I mean, all of the teenagers are. That's part of the success of the satire, I would argue.
But I think the key part to making this all work for me is the fact that Suzanne herself is also an idiot.
She is, but she gets smarter as the film goes until the very end.
I was going to say, kinda.
She gets more world-wise, we'll put it that way.
Yes, that's totally fair. So anyway, this was a very long, I got to like the bottom of the article on IndieWire, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm done. And then I saw the link that was like, click for the next page, and it was another page of all this stuff. So
wow. Well, that piece comes out for the 25th anniversary, so it was a big deal. But also, happy 30th to Die For. That's the reason we're covering it this week.
Yes, happy 30th to Die For. So, Joe, let's talk about how this film came to be, because...
Okay, I'm surprised that there's so much.
It's a lot. Okay, and also, you can cover this on your Murder Made Fiction podcast.
True, yes.
So, okay, yes, To Die For, directed by queer filmmaker Gus Van Sant and written by actor/screenwriter Buck Henry. It is also, I did not know this, based on Joyce Maynard's 1992 novel of the same name, but a book that wasn't a bestseller and wound up going out of print. So I don't even know if you can still really find this book in print, maybe Kindle?
Yeah, probably not. Books like that kind of come and go.
Well, I just figure when a movie's made out of it, you get the big time. Oh, this is the indie film of it, right?
Right, yeah.
So, anyway, it was, however, inspired by the very true story of then 22-year-old Pamela Smart, who was convicted of the death of her husband in 1990 when she conspired with her 15-year-old boyfriend and 3 of his friends to have her husband murdered.
Yeah, dark shit.
Dark shit. Also, I gather this all predates Mary Kay Letourneau, which admittedly is not a murder plot, but we're really playing in that sandbox with this.
I'm just saying, perfect double bill. This movie and May December.
Oh my God. Actually, yes. So much yes. I know some people did not like May December. That was my favorite movie of that year. I fucking loved May December. But
here's the thing. That's another one where if you don't know what the film is doing, like I remember watching it and just thinking for about the first 20 minutes, the score in this movie is perplexing. And then I was like, oh my God, it's a comedy. Never mind.
Yeah. But then, of course, people got mad because it was a comedy about statutory rape and blah, 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 whatever. Yes. It's my kind of movie. Okay. Maynard had been transfixed by the media coverage and how Smart was portrayed as the grieving widow. She was very telegenic, and it fascinated Maynard. So this is wild to me. She wrote To Die For in 2 weeks in a white heat, and it was published 2 years later in 1992.
Okay. Cool.
She says in her interview, she's like, I always write really fast. So I set aside 2 weeks to write the whole book. And I was like, okay, good for you.
All of us should be so ambitious, apparently.
Now, enter Laura Ziskin, a producer who had a deal with Columbia Pictures. But she brings the book in to Amy Pascal, then the executive VP of Columbia. And it was basically their job to find new projects for the studio. And they decided to buy the rights for To Die For almost immediately.
Okay, I think Amy Pascal has ties to Tom Cruise, which may explain how Nicole Kidman gets involved.
Yes, I believe so as well, which actually might be further down my production history. I'm not sure. I have a lot, Joe.
You know what? I'll stop interrupting.
No, you're fine. You're totally fine. So Ziskin then brought the project to the William Morris Agency, which is now apparently called the Endeavor Talent Agency. But this is where it found its way into Gus Van Sant's hands. Now, screenwriter Buck Henry, best known for co-writing Mike Nichols' The Graduate, but also as a character actor that appears in a bunch of films.
Okay.
But they both shared an agent at this William Morris Agency, now the Endeavor Talent Agency, and a deal was struck almost immediately. Henry writes the screenplay, Van Sant directs, and Ziskin produces. Sony gave them a budget of about $15 million, which... Okay. A lot for Van Sant at the time, who'd spent his career up until then making indie films on the margins of Hollywood, like Drugstore Cowboy and queer classic My Own Private Idaho, which I've never seen, by the way.
Oh,
I know. But it was a somewhat low budget for a studio film at the time. And bear in mind, you mentioned, Nicole Kidman was kind of doing Batman Forever, and that movie came out, I want to say, mere months before this movie came out, although after its Cannes premiere.
Yes.
Yeah. And, just for comparison, because that's also directed by a very popular gay director, but that movie had a budget of $100 million.
Very different projects, but also speaks to the diversity that Nicole Kidman is often attracted to.
And then Sony would split the cost with the Rank organization in the UK, which would handle international distribution and stuff like that. So, okay. This oral history piece really highlights the fact that To Die For proved what many assumed was an impossibility at the peak of indie filmmaking, and that was that an indie director could collaborate with a major studio without the director sacrificing their edge and the studio losing a hell of a lot of money, with the ultimate reason for its success being that the film refused to pander to its audience.
Okay, you know what? I love everything you just said.
Right? I know. I don't know if like the non-pandering is the actual reason, but I mean, yeah, it worked. Lightning in a bottle.
There we go.
Now, the film took a more satirical approach to the story, as you've already pointed out, Joe. Maynard's book was dark in tone and seems to have been written in an epistolary format, but not letters, more so like the film, the spoken testimonies from people close to the case.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, and so again, I wish I could have read excerpts from this book, but the choice to amp up the satire happened it happened when, but maybe not because of, the Tonya Harding scandal that happened while Henry was writing the screenplay for this movie.
Okay, triple bill, I, Tonya.
Mm-hmm. Okay, hold on, we're going to keep going.
Okay.
So, Court TV had also just become really popular, and Henry decided to incorporate a lot of that into his screenplay.
Right.
And this didn't influence the screenplay, but the O.J. Simpson stuff, the murder and the car chase, took place while they were filming this in June of 1994.
Yeah, and the Menendez brother trial would have also been happening.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like we're reaching like this big rise of obsession with true crime. And so I think also this film just came out at the really right time.
There we go. It's the zeitgeist.
Mm-hmm. Now, To Die For also marks the first American-made starring vehicle for Nicole Kidman. And before anyone says, wait, what about this? What about... Basically this. She had spent the 80s acting in Australian films before coming to America in 1990, acting as a side piece for, again, yes, her then husband Tom Cruise in American films like Days of Thunder and Far Away, as well as secondary roles in other American films like Malice. And that's the thing. This is her first American leading role in a film where it's like, okay, she's the face of this poster.
Which, yeah, I think that's the other reason people sort of stood up and took notice, is that she had always been there. Like, she was a presence in these other movies, and people kept waiting for her to pop. And this is the movie where people say she can not only lead a film, but god damn, she's so fucking good.
Exactly. Now, funnily enough, though, Joe, and of course, it should come as no surprise that many actresses had read or were considered for this part of Suzanne Stone, which, love the name, by the way.
Yes.
Meg Ryan, though, was the first person to really show interest in the project.
Oh, wow.
Well, and that's the thing, and we haven't talked about In the Cut. We've talked about it, but we don't have an episode devoted to it, right?
Oh, we will have an episode on it in the future. I have talked about it on White Ladies in Crisis.
Okay.
Folks, I think we have had this part of the conversation, Trace. You and I both agree that film is a misunderstood masterpiece.
Oh, it's fucking amazing. More people are coming around on it. But I think what Meg Ryan did in that movie is what she was starting to kind of do when she was showing interest in this. Because there
we go.
I mean, again, at the time, she was the rom-com queen. Sandra Bullock wasn't famous yet because Speed comes out the summer they do this.
Right.
So, she was like, oh, she's Sleepless in Seattle girl. She's When Harry Met Sally girl. And
she's too soft. She's too kind. No one would buy her in this role.
Well, but and that's what she wanted to do to prove them wrong. She's like, I can do this. Other actresses who came in to read for the part were Ellen DeGeneres. Actually, so apparently DeGeneres was considered, but she did read for the part of Janice.
Could see it. Yeah. Also, lesbian.
Mm-hmm. Well, and she didn't have her sitcom yet. And I think when she got that, then she kind of left the race for this movie.
She's like, okay, well, I don't need to be in this indie film anymore. I've got syndicated sitcom money.
Exactly. Patricia Arquette, though, was apparently the other person who was really close to getting the part.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. I could see it. It'd be a different kind of film, but I could see it.
Yeah. I mean, again, everyone go watch Severance.
Or Lost Highway.
I just meant for this type of a role, like a darker, like a meaner role,
Right, yeah.
But Kidman, who was barely 27 when she starred in this movie, to which I say, what the fuck? I guess, okay, maybe it's because I'm 36 and I still imagine myself. I feel like I look younger than Nicole Kidman in this movie because I feel like people in the 90s just looked older.
Maybe. I don't know what I would peg her age as in this film. I would buy 22 and I would also buy 32.
I guess it's because I grew up like watching so many of these people as a child that they just always, no matter what, even
they're
though
always
I'm
older
older
than
now,
you,
they're
right?
always older than me, 100%.
Yeah.
But she'd already had her eye on the role. And as you said, she already knew Amy Pascal, not through Tom Cruise, though. Pascal had produced Kidman's 1993 movie My Life, which co-starred Michael Keaton. And so I've never heard, trust me, well, I love doing these kinds of things where I'm like, what movie is this?
What the fuck is that?
Never heard of this movie. Joe, I mean, the movies that I go down rabbit holes when I'm doing oral histories for this movie, because I was looking at Meg Ryan's history, like, well, maybe she did some non-rom-com films around this time, and she did a couple, but not really. She did a movie called Prelude to a Kiss with Alec Baldwin, and this is a movie that I thought was always like, oh yeah, it's like this rom-com type thing. Like, I think I'm getting it confused with her other movie, French Kiss, with Kevin Kline.
Oh, yes.
But no, Prelude to a Kiss is like, like she's a liberal, Alec Baldwin's a conservative, and then she body swaps with this elderly man, and
what?
Yeah, and then he has to still like be in love with her. Like so it's about their romance while she's in the body of this elderly man.
Okay, interesting.
I know. Doesn't that make you want to watch that?
Yes, and also no one talks about this movie, so
yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so Kidman kept bugging Pascal, saying, I want that part in To Die For. And why did she want this part? Well, I'm just going to read this quote from Kidman verbatim. And this is from that oral history piece. So she says, I was fortunate to have started my career in Australia because Mad Max director George Miller's company, Kennedy Miller, took me under their wings. They created a 10-part miniseries for me called Vietnam, another called Bangkok Hilton, and then the movie Dead Calm. I was in an unbelievable position for a female actor. Then I came to the States and signed with a New York agent, Sam Cohn, who also represented Mike Nichols. I go on auditions and was shocked at how few complicated roles there were for women. So when I got there, I got Days of Thunder, and then I got Malice with Alec Baldwin. Oh, Alec Baldwin, there you go. But I was like, where are the art films and idiosyncratic filmmakers like Jane Campion? How do I work with them? I knew Gus's work from seeing Drugstore Cowboy at an art cinema in Sydney, and those kinds of films were basically my cinematic pull.
Oh, she's a cinephile.
Mm-hmm. Which again, I love. She's 27. She's fresh to LA, like fresh to the United States. And she's like, look, I find me the good roles.
And here's the thing, like, you will never hear me talk shit about Nicole Kidman because there was a period of time where it felt like, yeah, she wasn't making the most exciting pictures. But then at a certain point, she makes the decision that she's only going to work with interesting collaborators. And also, I think since like even before the pandemic, she has made it a priority to work with female directors. Yeah. And like, she has actually stuck to her guns. Like, I think she initially said she was only going to do it for a couple of years, and she has never looked back. So like, yeah, we can make fun of the AMC commercial, and we can make fun of her ridiculous obsession with wigs on a bunch of these TV shows that she does. But like, Nicole Kidman has the receipts. Like, she has been living by these words for almost the entirety of her career.
Oh, I think she's a fascinating interview. Like, I just love watching her talk because she's so erudite and but also at the same time,
but also kind of accessible.
Yes, exactly. Like, she walks this fine line, much like this movie does.
There we go.
Now, at this point, Kidman was newly married to Tom Cruise, apparently madly in love and wanted to have kids. Okay. But again, she loved To Die For. It was so darkly funny, and she did liken Henry's writing in the film to the same writing he had done in The Graduate. But her agent told her, you just need to call Gus Van Sant. Push yourself out of this comfort zone. Like, tell him you want this part. And this is the first time Kidman had ever had to do something like this. But her agent was telling her, sometimes you have to tell directors, I can do this, give it to me.
Oh, right. Don't wait for them to come to you. Because I think that's probably part of the issue with her coming from the Australian film sector is that she was a relatively big fish in a small pond. So she wasn't used to having to like go out of her way to be on people's radars. Whereas in Hollywood, it's like, well, who are you? That Aussie girl? Okay.
Which, look at her now, right?
Well, yeah.
Now, this, of course, turned out to be good advice because Van Sant at this point wasn't convinced that she was right for the part after seeing her in Dead Calm and Days of Thunder. And he says, it wasn't that I didn't think she was a good actress. It was just that nothing in those roles said to me, oh, she can play Suzanne Stone.
Right. Yeah.
But he said that she was so excited and forthright in her call to him that he basically said, well, if she's this into it, then she'll probably do a good job. You've got the part.
Sorry, just reflecting back on our conversation a couple of weeks ago from the Birds, where it was like, Tippi Hedren, please jump through 25 different flaming hoops to get this role.
Exactly, right? So, okay, but here's the weird thing. Kidman was also getting some pushback from her team, saying, you probably don't want to work with Gus Van Sant.
He's gay, too tiny. This role, it's a little too dark. Are you sure you don't want to do something more commercial?
The funny thing, because this is, again, mirroring the conversation we had a couple weeks ago on John Waters' Serial Mom, where, Kathleen Turner's team was saying, you don't want to work with John Waters. This had nothing to do with Gus Van Sant's sexuality or most of his filmography. But basically, at this point, Van Sant's latest film, the Uma Thurman starring Even Cowgirls Get the Blues, was a critical failure and a box office bomb. And so it was Van Sant's in director's jail. Like, you don't want to work with him. But
right, he's got the stink on him.
Mm-hmm. But Kidman just said, I just really liked Gus, and I just kept pushing, and I wanted to do this, so I wasn't listening to my team.
Well, sometimes you got to do what's best for you.
Mm-hmm. Now, for Suzanne's look, Van Sant had very clear ideas on how she should look. So he had tons of photos of different news anchors, and Kidman's curly hair did not work. We do get a brief glimpse of it in the wedding scene in this movie, but that's it. He wanted the long lashes, the makeup, the blonde hair, because she needed to be an icy blonde. They also needed her in a lot of bright, poppy colors to show that she is a fish out of water, even in her hometown. But she's also very tacky because she's also a psychopath.
I love all of that, and those descriptors are apt. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Now, filming took place from April to June of 1994, with the bulk of shooting taking place in Port Hope, a town just outside of Toronto, Ontario, Joe.
Heyo.
Now, this is funny, actually. So Toronto had basically just recently become a go-to destination for Hollywood because of that exchange rate. But I guess in my mind, I was like, well, didn't they always film in Canada? No, they did not.
No, they did not.
They did have a finished script when they started shooting, but Buck Henry was on location doing rewrites the entire time.
Okay. So there's other versions of this film that maybe existed once upon a time.
It doesn't necessarily sound like that. Like, it wasn't like, oh, we need to fix things in this movie. I think that Henry's just a perfectionist, and he was constantly tweaking the thing as he was watching the dailies come in.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so this might have been the happy coincidence where you realize, oh, okay, I can actually tweak this to better suit the actors, as opposed to, no, they have to stick to my script or something.
Yeah, because I'm going to tell you right now, Joe, the way that this film changed the most was in post-production. They re-edited this thing so many times.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of improv, which Van Sant loved because he had a very naturalistic approach. But this was at odds with Henry's approach, because he was very much like he had a certain rhythm and a cadence to his writing. So if you went off book, it was like, it was messing with that. And so they would often just shoot both versions.
Okay. Maybe that explains why there's like 35 minutes of deleted scenes on this disc.
Well, yeah, there's a reason for that as well.
Okay.
Aesthetically speaking, To Die For was very heightened visually. According to cinematographer Eric Allen Edwards, they watched Alfred Hitchcock's Frenzy for inspiration, which has a shot where the camera's inside a London flat hallway, descends a staircase, turns 180 degrees, and then tracks backwards out the door. And that's pretty much the exact shot they copied of Lydia entering the condo where she hesitantly climbs the stairs when Suzanne and Jimmy are having sex in the bedroom.
Right. Okay.
I don't know if you caught this, or this is just me picking this up, but like, I feel like the very last shot we get of Jimmy, Joaquin Phoenix's character in the institution, it's like a wide shot as his interview closes. It really reminds me of the final shots from Psycho.
Okay. Maybe.
But I don't know. Again, just my thought. Okay, so the editor, Curtis Clayton, was also on set during a lot of filming. And the reason he was doing... Because normally you don't have the editor on set, right? He was trying to put together an assembly cut, but the time shooting was done because they wanted to have it ready so they could show it to the studio.
Jesus, ambitious.
Very ambitious. Shooting ended at the end of June, and he finished the assembly cut in early July. This cut was over 2.5 hours long.
Oh dear, okay.
This is where your 30 minutes of deleted scenes come in. So they worked on cutting that 2.5 hour assembly cut down to a director's cut. And by Labor Day, they had it down to just over 2 hours long, but they were still trying to cut it down. And bear in mind, like, the final runtime of this movie is 1 hour and 46 minutes. So they're still looking to cut 15 to 20 minutes out of this thing after the initial cut.
Wow. Okay.
Now, I should point out that they had actually agreed with pretty much all of the studio notes that were being sent their way. So it was a relatively harmonious production and beginning of the post-production process.
Okay. I noted that specific word choice there, Trace.
So they wound up losing several scenes. There's extra stuff with the parents on the TV show that was cut out.
Right.
There is a fist fight between Kidman and Douglas's characters, which would have been their only one-on-one scene in the movie after their meeting, whenever they first meet, because we never actually see them interact.
We see them at the dinner, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But this scene was part of an entire subplot that got eliminated. We get, again, snippets of this, but there's a carnival scene where Suzanne and Jimmy go to the carnival.
Yes.
She gets drunk, gets a tattoo above her breast. They go to a hillside to fuck later, and that's the first time they have sex. And then eventually Janice sees that tattoo on Suzanne's boob. And this is after Larry has been murdered. So this is the moment where she's like, oh, I knew that she had killed Larry, which in the final cut of the film, that kind of happens at the funeral.
Right. Yeah. And I gotta admit, I don't know that we would have needed all that extra stuff.
We don't necessarily. It's a thing where it's because Douglas was obviously really mad that she was like, why did you cut out my fight scene with Nicole Kidman? That was the best.
I would like to see that for sure.
Yeah. But it was a thing where it's like, well, you've got to kill your darlings. And unfortunately, because it was tied into this other subplot, there's no reason to keep it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it came time to market this movie, Joe, you're gonna hear some familiar things in this story. So,
okay,
the common question:
test groups?
Yes. Is it a comedy? Is it a drama? Is it a murder mystery? How do we market this? And it seemed to be a case where, again, the studio didn't get it. And I don't know if it was a thing much like Serial Mom where they didn't read the script. Nicole Kidman makes an offhanded comment in this oral history where she's like, did they not read the script? Like, they knew what we were getting. Test screenings were resulting in very low scores. They had a meeting with Sony executives and were told that the audience was having trouble getting into the movie. And the main hurdle was they didn't think that Kidman's character was sympathetic enough.
Oh my God, fuck off.
So here's the thing. At this point, though, they didn't know walking in that Kidman's character was meant to be this kind of tabloid queen type thing.
Right.
And it's because they didn't have the title cards in place, the main title sequence with all the tabloid stuff. And so...
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, they let Van Sant hire Cuban title designer Pablo Ferro, known for his work on Midnight Cowboy and Dr. Strangelove. And they hired him to do a sequence at the beginning to help communicate that theme earlier on, as they indicated that she was a tabloid celebrity and had done something terrible. And I'm pretty sure it implies heavily murdered her husband, but maybe they don't...
Oh. No, it is fully in there. Like, the credit sequence spells out the entire film.
Okay, so then that changes the whole approach to the film, right? When you walk in, you're like, okay, I know where we end up.
Mm-hmm. How do we get there?
Exactly. Yeah. But apparently not having that main title sequence at the start of the film really fucked with people's perception of it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean... This is an unconventional structure at its core, right? Because we're basically doing the entire film in flashback, but it's via interviews of a variety of different kinds. And I think for a lot of folks, that's just inherently an unusual structure to build a film around.
Well, yeah, and you would kind of talk to me online where you said, oh, this is kind of like an early version of Drop Dead Gorgeous, which you're not even incorrect. But the thing is, though, Drop Dead Gorgeous never drops the mockumentary format. This one will do a confessional, and then we'll cut to show it actually happening without the presence of the mockumentary crew.
Yeah.
Now, they screened this new version with the title card in January of 1995, and everyone thought this new cut was vastly better, but the test scores barely improved, with, again, this common complaint being Suzanne is so unsympathetic. I know.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So then... a few members of the crew went to Pasadena, California to see how testers were recruiting people for these screenings.
Right. Who's getting into the room?
Joe, the way they were getting people into this theater was by going, hey, do you want to see a romantic comedy starring Nicole Kidman and Matt Dillon?
What?
So people thought it was this date movie, but it's, of course, about a woman who kills her husband and then dies at the end.
Yeah. And also, statutory rapes a teenager.
Yeah. Like, she's not meant to be a likable character.
No.
And so that kept being the common complaint. I'm just like, what? But people need to do better at these test screenings. I don't know what the fuck people are saying.
Well, or it's just very clear, okay, in our marketing, we cannot make this look bubbly and poppy, even though that's who the character is, because people will go in and think, oh, it's Legally Blonde.
Mm-hmm. And again, it's Nicole Kidman. Oh, yeah, she was in that Batman Forever movie we just saw a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, playing that super horny doctor. And here she's just playing a super horny news lady.
Psychopathic news lady, yes.
Sure.
But at this point, the studio decided just get the movie finished. And Van Sant decided to move some scenes around. Again, essentially re-editing this entire film. So
okay.
Henry's script, while modular and filled with vignettes, was still written chronologically. The film started with Suzanne as a little girl, then her falling in love with Larry, and so on. So they got inspired by the format of Citizen Kane, where you learn throughout the movie who Charles Kane was from different people and not knowing who you could fully trust. And they cut the film together like that. And so after about 6 to 8 weeks of sound editing and mixing, To Die For was finished in February of 1995. But they tested the film again in Westwood, an area in Los Angeles, and it didn't test well again.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Now, people were still scoring the movie good, which to a studio means the same as poor. And
right.
Again, y'all go to Disturbing Behavior. We've talked about some of this already, but like what Van Sant thought was these people need more time to absorb a movie like To Die For. You know, if you walk into something like Batman, you know what you're getting. It's cookie cutter, like junk food, cinematic candy. Like, you know what that is. This is not what this is. And for these test scores, they were like, you want to be in the high 70s, 80s, or 90s. If you're there, you're doing pretty good.
Right.
To Die For was always down in the low 30s.
Oh boy, that is a lot of ground to make up.
Yes. So at this point, Laura Ziskin, again, that original producer, she goes, we need to take this movie to the Cannes Film Festival. And
they need buzz. Okay.
But again, though, they had no reason to think that would work because of all the horrible reactions they were getting. And funnily enough, to tie back into that Serial Mom episode, this made Nicole Kidman very nervous because the last film she took there was Far and Away and had been crucified by the Cannes judge and audience.
Yeah, that's not a super great film for the Quasset.
Yes. But here's the thing, Joe. They screened this at Cannes, and the Cannes audience loved it.
Well, it's the same reaction that we had to Serial Mom, right? It's like this unlikable protagonist who is cheery on the outside and homicidal on the inside.
Mm-hmm. And quite literally coming out the next year after Serial Mom.
There we go.
Now, they loved it, though. So I guess really, though, because Serial Mom did screen at Cannes out of competition, so it must have been at the festival the same time as To Die For.
Maybe.
That's wild. But anyway, they loved it. The New York Times loved it, wrote a rave review, and that totally changed how the studio related to the movie, and they committed to spending money to release it in the fall. So they spent the summer coming up with trailers, key art, and TV spots, all of which cost around $10 million, adding to that $15 million production budget.
Right. But as is expected for an advertising budget, usually we say, you're probably going to spend nearly as much on the film as you do on the marketing.
Yeah, exactly that. Now, To Die For was released in 11 theaters on September 29th, 1995, landing in 16th place with a take of about $385,000.
Okay, folks, that sounds terrible, but let's remember this is a different day and age. It's called platform releasing. We wait for the film to gain buzz and we expand it.
Well, and when you look at those, you have to look at the per theater average. So the per theater average of that opening weekend was $35,000, which is
that's good.
Really good. Yeah. Like I feel like $14,000 is a pretty good amount nowadays for like a number one movie, but $35,000, that people are going to see that movie.
Right. Yeah.
Now, it expanded to 928 theaters the following week, landing in fourth place with $6 million.
That seems a bit quick. I would have let that hang in, build a bit more buzz in between, but okay.
Yeah, it didn't do that. But it does go on to gross $21 million domestically and another $20 million overseas for a worldwide gross of $41 million. But apparently the $21 million domestic, that was enough to make everyone happy because all the investors got their money back.
Okay, yeah, because when I was looking at the gross, I thought,
it's not that good.
That's not that good.
Well, and I think it's because, though, so it's I don't know, because the studio did put up some money. Maybe they had other investors somehow for that $15 million, but it was mainly Sony doing the marketing. And, the other thing is this, though, Joe, it did really well in home video rentals and sales.
Of course it did, because it's that sexy Nicole Kidman kills her husband movie.
Mm-hmm. Now, critics were over the moon for this thing. We're looking at an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes, Tomatoes, and Letterboxd users are wrong and have given this a 3.6 out of 5 or a 7.2 out of 10. Needs to be higher.
Yes. Although I will admit, like, for the normies, I think that's probably fine. I honestly thought you were going to say like a 3.2 or something.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it's 3.6. There you go. As I said, Kidman would go on to win the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Movie, Musical, or Comedy, but did not get nominated for an Academy Award. So as I close out, Joe, here were your nominees and winner for the Best Actress at the Oscars that year.
Ooh, give me the nominees and I'll see if I can remember.
Okay. Nominees. Emma Thompson for Sense and Sensibility.
Yeah.
Meryl Streep for The Bridges of Madison County. Susan Sarandon for Dead Man Walking.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
Sharon Stone for Casino.
Mm-hmm.
And Elizabeth Shue for Leaving Las Vegas.
Jesus. Okay. That's a powerhouse year.
It's a stacked year. It's to the point where I kind of get it, but it's the thing where it's like if someone wins the Golden Globe, I feel like you should just like automatically put them in the Oscars, but whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. It was Sarandon, right, for Dead Man Walking?
Correct. And this is actually a thing where I have seen none of these movies except for Leaving Las Vegas, which Shue is amazing in that movie. But now I'm like, I kind of want to go through a bunch of these like late 80s, like to mid 90s, like Best Actress categories and just watch all these movies. I mean, well, maybe not Madison County, actually. I don't really care about that one. But.
Here's the thing. If you like romance, that one is apparently like super, super good. But I think you should prioritize Casino because it's Sharon Stone playing like an icy bitch.
I know. I have so much Scorsese to go through. But the funny thing is, the reason I kind of balked at Madison County. Have you ever
Is it because it's a Mama Trace movie?
Not even that. So have you ever seen the gay movie In and Out with Kevin Kline?
I actually have not.
I know. We should do this like a bonus page. I really like that movie. I don't know how it's aged though, and that would be really interesting. But anyway, there's a whole bit in that movie where, when we're talking about gay people, it's very much like service level stuff. And so when all the old biddies are like with like Debbie Reynolds, who's his mom at the thing, and they're talking about look, he's gay, blah blah blah. They're all having this confessional, and this older woman just goes, I hated the Bridges of Madison County. And all the other women just go, and I was a kid watching. I had no idea what the fuck they were talking about.
You're laughing along, not knowing what the joke is.
I was just like, Mom, what's the Bridges of Madison County?
It's a beautiful love story.
Anyway, Joe, what happens in this movie?
Okay, that is a great question, but I have one for you. Would you like to play a game?
I want to play a game. The rules are simple. All you have to do is sit here and talk to me.
Okay, so here's the thing. This is not going to be like the other trailer games because I am pulling from the French Blu-ray provided by Elephant Films. It was the only one that apparently had any trailers on it, and many of the trailers were
French
comedies and other kinds of weird movies because this film is not classified as a horror film or a thriller or anything like that.
Okay.
So I had to get creative. So there's 2 rounds, so 2 different trailers that I want you to identify. I'm going to pick the one I think you're going to have the harder time with first. Okay, so 3 clues for this first round. John Dahl, the director of this 1994 film, would later go on to direct 2001's Joyride, which is a previous episode.
Okay, yeah, so we definitely talked about that, and I definitely would have gone through his filmography, but I don't know that, so what's the next clue?
Okay. The male lead of this erotic thriller is Peter Berg.
I don't even know who that is.
Okay. He's gone on to become like a director. He did Friday Night Lights and that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. Yes, I know the name as a director, not as an actor. Okay. What's the next one?
Do you want the third clue?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Linda Fiorentino drew raves for her performance as a femme fatale.
Okay, it's not Jade, because that's the one.
It's not.
But it's...
Same actress. Good call. Yeah.
Is it... Oh my God, it's a long title. It's something with money in it? Is it something with money?
It's not something with money.
Something with money. Fuck. Because I definitely know what this is because I remember being like, whatever happened to that one from Men in Black? And
yes.
And again, she was this big indie darling at the time, but oh fuck.
Give up?
Yeah, I give up. I know this, but I've never seen it and I can't tell the name.
Yeah, I figured, like, you might recognize even the box art, or yes, you would recognize Linda Fiorentino because of Men in Black and so on. So the movie is called The Last Seduction.
Yes, okay, there you go. That sounds like an erotic thriller.
Right? Yeah. Folks, I can tell you, this is a similar case to what we're talking about with Nicole Kidman. So Fiorentino won Best Actress from the Society of the Texas Film Critics, the New York Film Critics Circle, London Film Critics Circle, and she won the Independent Spirit Award for Best Actress for this movie.
I'm telling you right now, like, because I know Linda Fiorentino, yes, from Men in Black and Dogma. Those are like the two movies that I know her from, and I don't really get it. Like, I just think her line deliveries are very kind of like deadpanned and unemotive, and I imagine this works very well for her in an erotic thriller.
Yes.
But I never latched on to her characters in Men in Black and Dogma, because I just thought that she was like, even in Dogma, you know, that whole movie is like a big cartoon, and she's just kind of like,
she's a little wooden, right? Yeah. I can tell you this absolutely does work. This movie is fucking amazing. Like, if you know erotic thrillers, you probably know this title because it was so well received. It's a really interesting one. Like, if we ever do another month, we had talked about doing Kathleen Turner in Body Heat, and this is a great comparison to that film. The difference is that, like, you know she's bad right from the beginning. You're like, oh, this woman's trouble.
Okay, so yeah. So we got to do Body Heat, we got to do 9.5 Weeks, and we got to do Last Seduction. And so we need to find
Jade.
I guess Jade's going to be the other one, right? So we end on a crapper.
Oh, God. Okay, so that was round one. I feel you might do better with this second title. I'm going to give you a heads up, though. This is not a genre film. Okay. So this awards bait weepy features a cancer-stricken Meryl Streep as the matriarch.
Cancer-stricken Meryl. Oh, August Osage County.
No.
Okay. It's
Remember the years we're talking about.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was thinking of like a modern French release. Oh my God, it has Renee Zellweger in it.
Yes.
Oh my God, my mom had this book. I remember because I think it was an Oprah's Book Club book. It was. Yes. It was.
The title is terrible.
I know, it's a very generic title. Is the word "us" in it?
It is not.
Okay. Oh my God, yeah. It's Oh, it's such a generic title.
Should I just give it to you? Because I feel like you're gonna.
Yeah, I can picture the poster because it's all of them sitting on some stairs in front of the house.
Yeah. So this is One True Thing.
Yes. Okay. I was getting it confused with The Story of Us, which is a Michelle Pfeiffer and Bruce Willis romance from around the same time.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is sort of bread and butter. Like, we go through periods where we do these kinds of cancer films. Like, usually the romantic comedies where it's like, I secretly have cancer and I'm going to die at the end of our illustrious affair. But this one is the other version of that, which is I'm the child of dysfunctional adults and I have to go home and like take care of them as the whole family kind of crumbles. But then I learned so many valuable life lessons.
Yeah. And then that movie, because I always get it confused which one was the bad one, but that one did get good reviews, whereas The Story of Us did not get good reviews.
Correct.
Also, yes. One True Thing. I feel like there's so many movies with that kind of a thing. Like, it's just like, so boring.
Yeah, very, very boring. But you're right. It's one of those things where you see it, you see the font, you see the picture, and you go, I like Renee Zellweger. I like Meryl Streep. I like William Hurt as the father who's maybe having an affair with a student because he's a college instructor. And you're like, yep, all of these things. Check, check, check.
Okay, I'm sorry. Also, I didn't realize that One True Thing was based on a book by Anna Keeneland, and it was like semi-autobiographical, but like she's like a very famous author. So
yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah. Okay, so that is your trailer game.
This week's episode is sponsored by Bleecker Street and LD Entertainment's new horror film, Bone Lake. When two unsuspecting couples double book a secluded lakeside estate, what begins as a romantic getaway quickly spirals into blood-soaked mayhem. Deadly secrets, brutal betrayals, and fatal desires rise to the surface as the night plunges into a fever dream of gore, camp, and erotic terror. In what Bloody Disgusting calls a goddamn blast from start to finish, comes a film that rises above its genre conventions, twisting them on their heads in a deviously playful way. Drenched in style, splattered in blood, and unapologetically unhinged, Bone Lake is the sexiest, scariest party of the year, and you're invited. Experience Bone Lake exclusively in theaters October 3rd. Tickets are on sale now. The Toxic Avenger is finally available to watch at home. Macon Blair's certified fresh action comedy starring Peter Dinklage, Taylor Page, Jacob Tremblay, with Elijah Wood and Kevin Bacon is now available on your favorite digital platform. Go to toxicavenger.com/bloodyfm and get ready to laugh along to the radioactive mayhem from the comfort of your couch. That's toxicavenger.com/bloodyfm.
All right.
Okay, let's come back to Die For. So, we open in Little Hope, New Hampshire, and it's the winter. And then we get the hard rock meets Danny Elfman score. Yes, this is actually a Danny Elfman score, but I'm just going to say, my boy, he is phoning it in. This is a redux of Batman Returns hardcore.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think that this score has actually been copied a lot. There is there's a specific piece of score in this movie that I swear I've seen on at least 3 trailers from this time period. I really, and this is also in the same time that Danny Elfman's doing the score for Freeway. I think he follows this up with Freeway's score, but I really like his the split personality of his score in this movie. And it's not subtle. Like, we don't just ease into the heavy metal stuff. But the Danny Elfman-ish score, I fucking love in this movie.
I mean, because it's so Danny Elfman, right? Like, it feels like parts of this are so whimsical, we're veering into Tim Burton territory.
A little bit, yeah. But I wonder if, so I guess I balked at you. I won't say it's not reminiscent of Batman Returns, but here's the thing. I think all of Danny Elfman's scores sound really similar.
That is true. I would agree with that. Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyway.
I do think it ultimately works with the kind of candy-colored pastel. Like, I'm not going to lie. I think one of the other comparisons you could make to this film, we talked about Drop Dead Gorgeous. I think you could also say there's a little hint of Jawbreaker in here, too.
A little bit, yeah. It's not
even just like the costuming, color spread, and so on.
Yeah, I mean, Suzanne has some outfits that really do call to mind, although even though this predates it, but like it really is calling Rose McGowan's look in Jawbreaker to mind.
Yeah. And of course, we should acknowledge, she's a weather lady. So it makes sense because they do typically have these really pops of color outfits.
Well, but not yet, though. And honestly, she doesn't even want the weather job. That's just like a means to an end for her. But like, she's always wearing these bright, tacky colors.
This is true. Yes. Because she loves to be the center of attention.
Sure does.
Okay. So yes, as we talked about, we have reporters descending on this funeral. So that's actually how the movie opens. And then we get this montage of newspaper headlines. And I wrote in my notes, it gives away the whole film, but I guess we had to do what we had to do to make this film marketable.
Yeah, but I did wonder, this is like, it's not in media res per se. It's kind of media res. But
it's like at the end and then...
Yeah, I did wonder this is going to be something that irked you personally.
Not so much an irk as an observation. Like, I didn't even remember this is what we did. And I thought, okay, is this just for kind of the Luddites who don't understand the movie? And then I thought, well, that was you once upon a time, bitch.
I don't mind it, though, here, because I do think that, again, like, whether... If this scene is at the beginning of the movie or doesn't exist at all, like, it does change how you watch the rest of the movie. And
agreed.
I don't think there's a lot of excitement going into, what's she going to do? Is she going to kill her husband? And I feel similarly because, I mean, not to say that anyone like go walking into this would have been like, oh yeah, that's the Pamela Smart case, like put on film. But
sure,
it's a thing where it's like, well, if you kind of know it's based on something, then yeah, of course she's going to kill her husband. So to me, the fact that she kills her husband being revealed at the beginning of the movie isn't really a factor because the point is what actually happened.
Yeah. And I remember seeing the trailer, and in that trailer is a line from one of the reporters when she's leaving after they've thrown out the tapes and rendered them inadmissible for the court. And the one reporter just goes, Suzanne, did you get those kids to kill your husband? So you're like, well, it's in the fucking trailer.
Yeah.
So many good lines in this movie.
Oh, that's so funny.
Okay, so we start with a voiceover as we hear Suzanne Moretto, Nicole Kidman, talking about the big picture. And of course, Gus Van Sant, being a cheeky gay, is like, well, let me just zoom in and out of an eye so that you can get the big picture.
Yeah, because if you get real close to the screen, you don't see all those little dots.
Right, yeah, you don't see what the makeup is because you're too busy just taking it all in, which is thematic for this film.
And I think it's really important, too, because I would argue for almost the entire movie, you think that Suzanne is just breaking the fourth wall and talking to the audience.
Yes, you do.
And I love that reveal, that's not what it's
a good reveal.
I think that's really good.
Yeah, it's very fun. It's very cheeky. So I introduced her as Suzanne Moretto, and I should apologize because she does correct herself. It's Suzanne Stone.
Isn't the inflection in her voice? And granted, like she said in an interview where she's like, the scenes that were the hardest for me were the weather scenes because I had to do really, really long monologues of things I wasn't familiar with in an American accent. And I think she does a great job. I
have no problems with the accent at all.
I love the inflection or the cadence of her voice in this movie. It's so clipped.
Yes.
And cold.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's so exquisitely well done. Like there are no negatives. There are only positives when it comes to this performance. Okay, so yes, we do learn that she has adopted this professional name, and we're seeing this as we see that her husband, who she refers to as, like, I loved him, I loved his family, and all this other kind of stuff, but we do see that Larry, played by Matt Dillon, is already dead.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we get the rest of the family. So we have Larry's restaurant-owning parents, Joe and Angela, played by Dan Hedaya and Maria Tucci. And then we have his figure skating sister, Janice, played by Ileana Douglas. And then we have Suzanne's parents, Earl and Carol, played by Kurtwood Smith and Holland Taylor. And we don't get as much of them in this film, which feels sad, like a bit of a missed opportunity. I don't know where you would squeeze more of them in, but I was just like, oh, okay, so let's keep that queer representation coming, Holland Taylor.
Absolutely. And this is where I think, again, because one of the things that cut out was there was a lot more stuff with the talk show and the parents.
Sure. Yeah.
And poor, and the sister, Faye, played by Susan Traylor. I was like, Suzanne had a sister? Okay, I guess.
I know. I think she appears in 2 scenes, to the point where I literally was not going to make a reference to her in this plot synopsis.
I truly believe that you could have just cut her out of these shots and just gotten this character out of the movie.
Yeah, put her on the cutting room floor, unfortunately.
Okay. I will say, though, for Janice, and I'll do my only extra tidbits here are going to be for casting, but for Janice, apparently everyone, so many people wanted to play this part specifically.
Oh, it's a great fucking part.
I think it's a great part, but it's also not that big of a part,
No. To the point where you keep wanting more, which is maybe why everybody wants it, because it's like, oh, I get to come in, steal the movie in just a couple of scenes.
Well, and apparently Ileana Douglas was also on the shortlist for the Best Supporting Actress Oscar nomination, and I want to say she found out that she was 4 votes away from getting nominated. Yeah, but she did get to join the Academy because of that. But
you know what? We'll take it.
The people they saw for this movie, and I don't think this is really a preference order, but they saw Sandra Bullock. She auditioned months before Speed made her a star. Janine Garofalo.
There we go. That's the one.
Laura San Giacomo.
Okay. Yeah, could see it.
Meg and Jennifer Tilly. Jamie Gertz.
Okay.
I could see that. Catherine Keener, which I could also see.
Yes.
Terry Hatcher, I don't see, but
no.
And again, Ellen DeGeneres.
Okay. Wow. Also, can we go back in time and just make another version of the women with just that short
right, with just that cast?
Yeah.
Make a good version of the women.
Oh my God, that remake is terrible. Original version, amazing.
Pretty bad, yeah.
Okay, yes. So we introduced this conceit pretty early on. So we've got Suzanne doing her direct address, and then we've got interviews with other people occurring in different places. So, we'll go to Janice while she's on the figure skating rink, and she is really the first one to kind of give us an outsider point of view on Suzanne. So yes, she says, let me give you a 4-letter word of what I thought of her. It's not the one you're thinking of. It's cold. Ha ha. Wink, wink. And then we get to see her talking about how she tried to talk Larry out of dating Suzanne. So we get flashbacks to their interactions when Larry was playing drums in the band at his parents' restaurant. We see girls and one gentleman oogling at him.
So I made a note of this too, but here's the thing though. Because we're in Larry's POV with this camera here as he's looking at all of the prospective people he can be going home with that night. And he doesn't he pauses on the guy to the point where I was like, is Gus Van Sant implying that Larry is maybe a little bit bisexual or pansexual?
Sure.
I think he is. I think it's canon.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Everybody in this movie is giving off fuck me energy except for the parents.
Yeah, very much.
It's a horny movie that's not actually that horny. It's interesting.
Well, because we don't even see the sex in this movie.
No, I love the way that we shoot the blowjob.
Oh, yes. Okay. I love the way that we're shooting the sex scene later that we're not seeing as we only see Lydia's reaction to it.
Yeah, we do see a couple of instances of Suzanne fucking James, but it's like that overhead shot of them like fucking on the floor in the bed, and we see him fucking her against the tree. But like a lot of this film is quote unquote more tasteful than you might expect.
Yeah, the sex scenes are always done very quickly and part of a montage almost, which again, and after, because I read this production history before I rewatched the movie, and I paid attention to the editing as much as I could, because the editor was very much like, I think this movie is kind of a masterclass, not to toot my own horn, but like a masterclass in the art of the montage.
I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm. And watching it, I was like, wow, there's a lot pieces you have to keep track of to make this like a smooth narrative, and he does a really good job.
Yeah. So something else that you could keep track of is the fact that early on, in addition to describing Suzanne as cold, we have Janice saying that she is the ice maiden. Where do we end up at the end of the film, Trace?
Well, ice. And boy, oh boy, every time they mention the mafia, you better keep holding that onto your back pocket.
I do love how it's a stereotype and you think, oh, that's kind of gently offensive just because they're an Italian family. And then the end of the film says, oh, no, it was true.
Yeah. The end of this film, I find simultaneously anticlimactic, but also very cathartic. It works in both ways.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. Okay. So, as much as Janice is trying to talk her brother out of it, Larry is very certain that Suzanne is the one for him because she's so pure, so delicate, so innocent. And of course, we understand, oh, Jesus, he's got like hot girl goggles on where he does not see any problems with this woman at all.
Not at all. Like, he's real dumb in that way.
He's super dumb.
But I will say, though, to one thing to be on Suzanne's side is she does tell him from the get-go, I don't really want kids. I want to be on TV, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah. Within a year, he's changed his tune.
Yeah, a lot can change in that first year of marriage, but I think he legitimately thought he was going to be able to wear her down, or that she would change her tune in time. Like, oh no, these are young fantasies, but now that we're married, now that I've got this stable career, things are looking up for me at the restaurant and so on. And it's like, oh no, Suzanne never changed her tune. She always knew where, as she will literally tell us, she always knew what she wanted to do, even when she was a young child. The minute she saw herself as a little girl on screen, she knew that that's where she wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We also get the sense that Suzanne is a little image obsessed. So an early interaction with Janice is where she, this I love, Mr. Gorbachev would still be in power if he had that big purple thing taken off his forehead.
Yeah. So this is what my dad calls nasty nice, where she's saying something really mean, but in this really nice way. And this is nasty nice to a T. And she's telling Janice, well, if you really want to be a big figure skater, you better go to plastic surgery and like get all those blemishes removed from your face. Blemishes that I do not see on Ileana Douglas's face. And I have the Criterion 4K of this movie.
I mean, that's the joke, right? I think the other funny thing is that as someone with a nose that you could probably ski off of, I see myself a little bit in Ileana Douglas because she has a big honker. And I'm like, you're not even going to say rhinoplasty? You're going to focus on the pores? Okay, Suzanne.
Yeah. What, do you know Ileana Douglas from many things? I know her mainly from this and Cape Fear.
Okay, stop referencing Cape Fear.
I know.
No, I haven't seen it.
We're going to have to do Cape Fear. I'm just saying.
It's already on the schedule. Yes. I'm trying to think. I think it's principally this, because I did for a while confuse her with Janeane Garofalo because the comedic delivery is so similar.
Yeah. Apparently Goodfellas was her big thing, too.
Oh, see, yeah.
I know.
I just don't like mafia movies all that much. So.
I just got to watch a lot of Scorsese's mafia movies, honestly.
Apparently so. Yeah. Okay, so we then get to see both sets of parents being interviewed on something called The Laura Show, and Earl Stone, so this would be Suzanne's father, admits that he initially had some reservations about her and Larry's relationship because it seemed like Larry had low education, and yes, the family maybe had these ties to the mafia, and again, fantastic editing here. So we go from this line where you think, oh, well, that's offensive. And then we cut to the barn at the frozen lake that we will see at the end of the movie, and you just hear a woman scream. So it's like, again, we're already foreshadowing Suzanne's going to die. We just don't know that this is Suzanne, but we think, oh, okay, they've got ties to the mafia. They're killing people in this bar.
But doesn't the scream turn out to be Suzanne moaning in pleasure because Larry's fucking her against a tree, or is this different?
It might transition to that, but okay. I think you can read it both ways.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. And then, immediately off to the races. They are getting married immediately.
Yes. Yeah. So we get wedding pictures. We see that Larry is selling his drum set so that he can turn his life around. We learn that Suzanne modeled her wedding dress after Maria Shriver because we're so celebrity obsessed.
Which I love, that aged well. Okay, wait, but the weird cringe thing, though, in this wedding flashback.
Yes.
She walks up to her dad and just goes,
hate it.
I'll still never find a guy like you, Dad. And he is, I love this. He just goes, What?
Like, he is more surprised than we are as an audience at her daddy issues. The interesting thing, I don't think we really play with this very much.
No, we don't.
Right?
Like, we tease something weird going on here. And I agree. I don't think anything actually happens sexually between her and her dad. I think it's just purely on Suzanne's side.
Right. It does anticipate what we're going to hear from Lydia, though.
It does. But I agree. Like, we bring this up, which is, again, like, this is almost like a record scratch of a moment where you're like, what? And that we don't explore that further is interesting to me.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe this was a holdover from a different version of the script or something, but
maybe.
Yeah, it's a curiosity. I do also love this moment where Suzanne very clearly, deliberately throws the flower bouquet at Janice, and Janice just shifts to the side so that it goes right by.
Janice's head's like not putting up with any of this shit for the entire movie.
No, it's like, Larry made his decision, and I guess I have to live with it, but I don't have to like it. Okay, so after the Florida honeymoon, we'll circle back to it because we will revisit this scenario. But when they come back, we learn that Larry bought Suzanne, well, he put a down payment on a condo. He bought her a Mustang convertible. And we see that her professional jealousy is kicking in when we have this family dinner. So Suzanne whips up this, very ridiculous, very, oh, I heard famous people eat this, so I modeled it meal that no one liked, obviously. But we hear that Janice is actually going to go on tour with the Ice Follies, and you can pause it and look directly at Nicole Kidman's face, and she looks so upset that she has been upstaged.
Well, to the point where, like, because Larry immediately chimes in, shits all over Janice's news. It's like, well, you know what? My girl's got a job. And I will say, one thing I like that isn't explored too much in this movie, but the moments we get are great. I do love the brother-sister chemistry between Matt Dillon and Ileana Douglas. I think that
they're super believable.
Very much so. To the point where that scene earlier when she's like, I subtly told him to, like, get rid of her. But, like, that felt so authentically real to me that I am a little bummed that we don't get more scenes between them.
No, I think if I could go back and course correct anything in this film, it would be to include more Janice. Not necessarily, like a full-on Dallas style or a Dynasty knockdown between her and Suzanne, but even just having more of her, because there's a moment where basically all of the family members disappear from this movie because we had to make way for the teenagers. So it's just sad. Like, it's also the sign of good characterization because you're missing them when they're not on screen.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So we get the first instance of Suzanne's oft-repeated philosophy. You're nobody if you're not on TV, because what's the point of doing anything if nobody's watching?
And if people are watching, it makes you a better person, which I love. That is such a wild philosophy to have. Like, I'm only a better person when I'm being watched.
Yeah, which maybe not untrue if you think about most of us, because we are more likely to tell the truth and be on our best behavior if we know that people are watching us. But yeah, I mean, I do love how this gets corrupted or tweaked as we filter it down through, I'm going to say, lesser people who don't have the same ambition as Suzanne. So, like, I love when Lydia, the mini-me version of Suzanne, will say it, and then she's kind of like, but it doesn't make sense, because if everybody's on TV, then nobody's watching.
There's no one left to watch the TV.
And you're like, that's an astute observation, but also, Yes, it's because Suzanne is hollow at the core. You should not be following her. You should not be trying to follow in her footsteps.
Well, and that's the thing I think with the kids that it plays off so well is that with the exception of Casey Affleck's Russell, like Lydia and Jimmy, like they're so stupid. They're so stupid, but I was gonna say they're so innocent, and
yeah.
But we also, because we do learn that Lydia was sexually abused as a child. So, that's also a big thing playing into her characterization, which I would argue makes Suzanne more reprehensible when you know that.
Because she's so predatory.
Yeah, and she knows this about Lydia tells her this.
Mm-hmm,
and what is her advice? Oh, you just gotta pretend like that doesn't exist and forget about it. Repress it.
Yeah, basically just push it down. Okay, so we are more or less at the part in the film where Lydia gets introduced. So this is the character played by Alison Folland. And I think that she is also really great in this movie. I don't know that I've ever seen her in anything else.
No, and she is interviewed for that oral history piece. She does have like brief parts in like Good Will Hunting because obviously Van Sant brought her back. But I think she kept saying that acting kept interfering with her school, and then like she kept getting typecast in roles like this, and she just wasn't doing it for her.
Which I could understand, right? I mean, this character is great in this film, but do I want to play this character all the fucking time?
Exactly.
No.
But I will say, Joe, she is in M. Night Shyamalan's 2008 trashterpiece, The Happening, playing woman reading on bench with hairpin in the opening scene.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to assume that she probably dies horribly then.
I think she stabs herself with the hairpin.
There we go. Yeah. Okay, so yes, Lydia is a high school student, so she's being interviewed for the same purposes as Janice is after the fact, and she explains that during the honeymoon, Suzanne confessed to Lydia that she was actually there picking up tips at a TV convention. So when we saw Larry go off fishing, and of course we established that Suzanne is highly fuckable to every man, and I'm going to argue most women in this movie, we will get to flashback in this moment to see, oh yeah, so she was basically hanging out with an uncredited George Siegel acting as a kind of studio magnate. Yeah. So what do you think of this dinner?
This is uncomfortable.
I mean, you said early on in the episode that you think that Suzanne is actually also pretty stupid. And I think this is the clearest instance of it, right? Where we get the whole rigmarole about the lady who was super ambitious, went to New York with the letter from a small town editor and said, you know, hey, this woman can basically suck a brass off a doorknob because she's so good at giving BJs. And Suzanne's like, so who wrote the letter?
Well, no. So, that's the thing. He said this woman showed up, has this letter, wanted to get a job. But the joke is that her boss, this editor, didn't write the letter. And then Suzanne's just like, beat.
Yep.
Beat. Well, who did? And then it's like, well, she wrote the letter. Oh, beat. Why?
Oh my God. Suzanne, catch up. Also, this man's hand is all over your thigh. So are you reading the room yet?
And she does fuck this guy, right?
100%. Yeah. Because we see her come back in her cheetah print after Larry has already gone to bed. And you're just like, oh, okay. Well, we didn't need to see it. We just know.
But I feel like in this scene, normally this would be like, she's lost her dignity type scene. And
right.
I don't
know.
I don't know. I mean, she looks disappointed in herself almost, which I would argue is maybe the only time in the film that I do see that from Kidman's performance.
Yes, because this is her most naive and innocent, as Larry said. You know, I think at this point she still knows what she wants, but she hasn't decided how far she's willing to go to get it. And this is the moment where, okay, I did it that one time, and from this point forward, she will never hear the word no and accept it again.
Yes, and actually, you mentioned a double feature title earlier. I have the perfect double feature bill for this.
Okay.
Election.
Oh.
Because after watching this again, I firmly believe that Reese Witherspoon watched Nicole Kidman's performance in this movie and like really pulled from that for Tracy Flick.
Interesting. I've got to revisit Election because that was another film that I sort of watched not really knowing what the tone was. And I remember reading a bunch of think pieces about how she was so fucking unlikable. And I've read the book since, and I've read a bunch of Eugenides books. And I mean, I fucking love all of them. So yeah, it's probably time to revisit.
Yeah, I think you would really like Election. I want to read the book.
I bet I would.
Because Parada did write a sequel, so.
I've never read the sequel.
Yeah, it's newer. I think it's like 5 years old.
Okay, interesting.
But anyway, yeah.
Dark stuff, folks. Okay, yes, so let's cut to the local cable station and introduce Ed Grant, who is played by Wayne Knight, and he is describing his first meeting with gangbusters, which is what he and George, who is the kind of pseudo-quasi-cameraman, who is played by Jerry Quigley, this is what they call Suzanne, because she is so gangbuster ready for anything. Always got an idea, never saying no.
I also think this might be the funniest Wayne Knight has ever been in a movie that I've seen him in.
He's so deadpan.
Suzanne will say something in her confessional, and then we'll just cut to Wayne Knight being like, "Man, she was stupid. Oh, she had so many ideas.
Oh my God, the idea file. Yes, she was obsessed with this, and then of course we've also got the introduction of her little dog Walter, who of course is named after Walter Cronkite. And I mean, of course she would have a dog like this.
I seriously like Pomeranian's what Ari and I want our next dog to be.
Right.
I think these dogs are so cute.
They're super cute. I mean, but here's the thing, right? If you want to give someone like, oh, this dog is like their owner, what are you going to cast? Of course, you're going to go with a Pomeranian because they're adorable and kind of dim.
Yeah, they're good for either this kind of role or playing vampire Pomeranians in Blade Trinity.
Right. Yes. Only the two options. You know what? The two binaries, really. So. Okay, so yes, after a few months, Suzanne wears Ed down, so he eventually lets her do the weather, and this is where we first are introduced to Jimmy Emmett, or James Emmett, who is played by Joaquin Phoenix, and he is being interviewed in prison.
Yeah, so again, like we know at this point, which I wonder where this would have been at the end of the original cut of the movie, you know? But,
right?
For Jimmy, they did see now famous actors like Lucas Haas, Giovanni Ribisi, Jeremy Davies, which, by the way, young Jeremy Davies looked hot.
So hot. Still hot.
Adrian Grenier. That's another fun thing.
Ew, no.
So this oral history actually has Polaroids of a lot of these people that they were auditioning for these parts. And Adrian Grenier looks like a vampire. He has a ponytail or a man bun, and it looks like he has been painted white. It is wild.
I mean, he's often very pale, yes, but I'm going to say a hard no to him. And it's not just like residual hatred from The Devil Wears Prada. It's just like, I have never found anything interesting in any of his performances.
I've never seen Entourage, so I can't really. I know that's what he's known for the most.
Chills.
I know, that's why I never want to watch it. But yeah, so yeah, they had Grenier, Jeremy Sisto, Johnny Galecki, Edward Furlong, and then I love this. Pretty much every male actor from Dazed and Confused. But
again, okay, so do a male version of the women called the Men, and just cast all of those guys in it because there's a lot of talent there too.
But the funny thing is, Joe, Joaquin Phoenix wasn't the front runner for this role. The front runner for this role was Matt Damon. And
can't see it.
He was the closest one to get into the role, but there were two big hangups for him. One, he was 24, and the casting director was like, it makes a world of difference if you cast someone 19 or younger playing a teenager. It makes a world of difference.
I would agree. See many CW shows.
But the other thing is he looked too all-American for the role. And I was like, well, not much fucking hair and makeup is for. Like, just fucking like put a piercing on him and dye his hair black. I don't know.
Okay, speaking of makeup, am I right in thinking that the cleft lip is makeup? Like, Joaquin Phoenix doesn't actually have that, does he?
Yes, he does. He's had it forever. He had it in Gladiator.
Oh, interesting. It feels so pronounced in this film. It almost looks like an aesthetic choice.
I do wonder if he's had work done to get it like lowered or like kind of like invisibled, well, in my technical terms, over the years. But no. Because I remember when Gladiator came out, my parents would not stop talking about his hair lip scar.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting because it does feel like it contributes to the character.
Well, because he does come across like he has brain damage.
He's a little simple. He's obviously very poor. You know, like, I think in a later film, we would have him and Russell, who is the Casey Affleck boo. I think that the two of them would probably just be mega stoner style characters,
Yeah.
Which is why, like, I don't think we see people do drugs in this movie. We reference Larry having a cocaine addiction,
problem,
which is like, yeah, okay, Suzanne.
But funnily enough, I can't really think about this either, but like Joaquin Phoenix was brought up to Van Sant because his older brother River was in My Own Private Idaho, and so apparently when Joaquin Phoenix came into audition, it was like the best audition they had seen, and it pretty much kicked Damon out of the spot. But it's okay because Van Sant would obviously work with him in Good Will Hunting.
There we go. Yes, and I think also would work with both Damon and Casey Affleck on Jerry?
Damon Affleck? Oh, Damon. Sorry, I listened to you wrong. Jerry. I don't know what Jerry is.
It's the one where they walk across the desert.
Okay. Yeah, that maybe.
Maybe. Anyway, it was not that well received, so it's fine. Okay, yes. So, okay, we see Suzanne walking into the high school in slow motion, and she's being watched by James, Lydia, and Russell. And she's basically there to pitch the kids on a documentary called Teens Speak Out. But of course, people are mostly interested in her solely as a curiosity because it's like, this woman is so out of place in this arena. She only attracts 3 people's attention.
I do love this, though, because even the teacher, before he leaves her to her own devices in this room full of teenagers, he says specifically, she asked to come in here. No one invited her to this school.
No. And in case you were wondering, you're talking about Mr. Finlayson. That's the teacher, and he is played by Buck Henry, the screenwriter.
Oh, well, there you go.
There we go. Yeah. Interesting other tidbits. Like, this movie is laden with adults abusing their power when it comes to teenagers or just young people. So we do actually see that the only reason Russell signs up is he obviously finds Suzanne attractive. He tries to catch a glimpse of her underwear, but Mr. Finlayson catches him and ends up beating the shit out of him. And then threatening to have the Moretto family castrate him and turn him into a eunuch.
Like, this whole mafia thing is apparently something everyone in this town knows.
It's an open secret.
Yeah, very much. But yeah, I wrote this teacher is bullying Russell, but you're right. I think he's hitting him too.
Oh, he's for sure got a welt on his face.
That is wild. But yeah, this is something.
Yeah. Okay, so Ed, that is the Wayne Knight character, bemoans the fact that Suzanne ultimately takes hundreds of hours of footage with these 3 dorky kids, and then we get to see her watch... And then we get to watch her do some of these interviews. And I want to highlight the fact that Russell at one point makes a joke that Lydia wants to fuck the new kids on the block. And I think it's hilarious because especially in this film, Casey Affleck looks a lot like Joey McIntyre.
Oh, yeah, he does. I mean, it's probably because he's like 17 filming this movie too.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's also grungy kids in the mid-90s. We all kind of looked like this, so...
Now, do you believe that at this point, Suzanne's already planning to murder Larry?
No. I think she believes that this documentary is going to take her places and that he still supports her career because she's making it happen. So I think if things had continued along her preferred trajectory, the murder would have never happened.
But it's just the thing, too, where it's like, well, Suzanne, we don't actually see this documentary, but based on what Ed says, there's nothing there that is worth like using that could make a good documentary. Now, granted, he's not watching the hundreds of hours of footage, but... Again,
the footage we do see is very bland, like
very
not
bland.
Exciting. She's not capturing any kind of depth or nuance. She can't even really keep these kids' attention.
No. And the only one she can is Jimmy, and that's because he's eye fucking her the entire time. And then Lydia is just obsessed with her. She looks up to her too much.
I mean, I'm going to argue that Lydia eventually gets to a place where she idolizes Suzanne, but also wants to fuck her. Like, when we get to that dance sequence, I was like, this movie could take a turn, and it could be Jimmy is the one who actually takes the dog for a walk, and we fuck Lydia, and then get her to commit the murder.
There is a tension there, for sure.
Yes, yeah, which I kind of love. As I said, I think everybody in this movie sort of wants to fuck, but nobody does.
No one does. That's why they're all so unhappy.
Yeah. Okay, so Ed pities the person who ever says no to Suzanne, and of course she said, no one ever does. And we will see this is mostly true. So as she's editing her reels, we see that there's a suggestion that James does have an abusive home life and that the kids have this kind of sexual and, yes, financial obsession with Suzanne. So they imagine that she has this perfect life, that she has this husband who just buys her a bunch of shit. And you can see that's attractive to Lydia. We can see that the idea of fucking Suzanne is attractive to both Russell and Jimmy, and that all of them just they're dazzled by her. Like the fact that I think they feel like she selected them and they are blessed to be in her aura or involved in this project.
Well, and I think that's the thing is like Suzanne's personality is someone who is so, I'm not even going to say abrasive, like she's just so big up front that you're either going to be very charmed by her and like invested in her, or you're going to find her incredibly obnoxious and fake, which is what most of the adults in this movie feel about her.
And it's very telling the fact that she relates best to teenagers because, I mean, once again, you could go back to saying, well, she's very predatory, so she knows how to manipulate these people because they haven't developed fully formed brains yet and so on. But also, I don't think Suzanne fits into the real adult world because she has no concept of what reality is.
Well, and I think that's why, though, the only adult that really seems to buy into her bullshit is Larry, and that's because he's kind of a man-child.
He's kind of a man-child, and I think also... No, well, we can just leave it at that.
It's only when he starts trying to grow up that he doesn't see. I guess he never stops loving Suzanne, but he does stop believing in her dream.
Yeah. Like basically, what ends up happening is we have this encounter at the family barbecue, and I think he was still on her side up until this point where she effectively says, I think if you wanted a babysitter, you should have married Mary Poppins because she is never going to have a kid. And she has this whole, kind of half monologue to his mom about how, you can't fly out to third world countries to talk about a coup if you've got a
big
baby,
fat belly
or like the saggy breasts and this kind of stuff. And you're just like, you're literally talking to a woman who has given birth, presumably to 2 children. So like, Suzanne, what the fuck?
It's so good. I mean, and she just goes on and on about how ugly, it's disgusting and blah, 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 blah.
But I think this is kind of the breaking point for Larry when he realizes, oh, it's been, like at this point. Well, no, it hasn't been a year at this point because that's the anniversary of when he gets killed.
Which is weird. It's been like less than a year. And it's like, oh, yeah, all those things that I said you could do. Forget about that.
Everybody has really unrealistic expectations. Like, I think there's even a moment where they think when he says, oh, she got a job, they just immediately assume that they're announcing a pregnancy. And you're like, what?
Oh, and it's so awkward when they have to actually say what it is because they get so excited and it's like, oh no, it's just quote unquote a job. But that's the thing is like, I do like this too because I don't know if I ever side with Suzanne in anything she does in this movie, but
she's so unlikable.
Well, she's very unlikable. Yeah, exactly. But I do empathize with the pressure to have a child that everyone in this family is putting on her.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to descend into stereotypes, but I would be very curious to hear from any of our Italian listeners if they feel like there was a very deliberate choice beyond just the mafia-ness for the narrative convenience, whether this is something that you're going to feel added pressure from an Italian family to like get those babies going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yes, needless to say, Larry is not very happy about the position that Suzanne has taken, but other people are very happy with their relationship to Suzanne. So I do want to give a shout out to Kidman's delivery of this sex dream that Jimmy has, where he's watching the weather. And then she, of course, starts speaking through the TV to him about how she wants to stroke his big, thick...
I really like this too because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first and maybe only time we delve into actual fantasy sequences in this movie.
I believe so.
It comes out of, well, not comes out of nowhere. I think you can tell where it's going to go. But when her TV persona turns to the camera to look you in the eye, it's like, oh, I love that we're doing this. And then he just jacks off to her.
Yeah. Of course, as you would as a teenage boy with no inhibitions. Okay, so I think another slightly telling moment that's happening in the background is we do see Janice on the road, right? So she's on the phone talking to Larry. This is where she's basically telling him, you need to learn to say no. N-O to your wife.
What do you mean how?
N-O, Larry. But, she's presumably on the tour with her ice skating girlfriends, but like... This has that feeling of, I'm just going to talk to my brother before I go down on this girl in the bathroom.
All these ice skating girls just eating each other out.
I mean, what happens on the road with the ice follies stays on the road. It's just that very sort of telling look of, like, I just need to get through this family thing and then we can get back to having fun.
I do love this though. So Ileana Douglas thought there was going to be much more ice skating involved in the filming.
Oh
so
no! Did she learn?
She trained for 6 weeks on how to legit do. So again, it is always her doing the ice skating. It's not a double. And I think that in that final shot, like Van Sant makes it very clear because he keeps it as a oneer. But yeah, so she learned all that.
Okay, good for her. That's a talent. That's something you can take to the bank. So. Okay, so this is when Larry decides he's going to take his sister's advice. Really, it's Janice who gets him killed because he proposes to Suzanne when she comes home after a long day of doing the weather. And he says, maybe we need to reevaluate what your career plan is. Like, New York is not going to happen. But how about you join me working at the restaurant, doing some stuff there? Like, we can put your skills to use. And you can see he thinks that this is a great alternative. Let's just be a little realistic. And she's basically like, well, now I'm going to have to fucking get rid of you.
He is not registered that she has checked out. Again, Van Sant and company do a really good job here because we get this like kind of like pinhole tunnel vision effect.
It's the iris lens. And I wrote in my notes, all she sees is the literal scope of her future narrowing.
Yes. And so I guess then, you answered my question. Like, this is the moment where she decides to, like, I'm going to have to kill this guy.
Yeah, which is wild. And I will say, considering how much true crime I'm consuming nowadays, I was really appreciative of, even in 1995, we do have a moment later where Jimmy will say, why don't you get a divorce? Like, you don't need to murder this man if you are unhappy in your marriage. And of course, this is when we spin the lie of, oh, well, he's hitting me. But also, I did find it very telling that Suzanne says, well, then he'll get the house he'll get the car.
It's all material. Her first things are, well, he's going to get everything.
Yeah. You're just like, girl, you're talking about killing someone.
But she's going to be in a much better position if she inherits all of his stuff as opposed to losing everything and having to marry someone else again, if that's even what she wants.
Yeah.
Like, I struggled to figure out why Suzanne even married Larry, because even if he had supported her, like whatever, she doesn't seem like someone who would want to be tied down in a suburb with a husband.
Yeah, I do feel like the film doesn't do a great job of clarifying what it was, apart from they had a good physical connection. Mm-hmm. But even if there needed to be some kind of moment of, well, you've got this staple job, or you can support me while I realize my dream, like, I think just a single line of dialogue would have helped with that.
Or even if it's something like, oh, I know that women can't get ahead in this world without a man, so I need a man by my side so I can use him to my advantage. Like something like that, which may actually be the idea. It's just not communicated.
I mean, I think the other answer is the one that we are reticent to engage with just because it seems so anti-Suzanne, but it is possible she did just actually love him, at least initially.
Yeah, it is possible. I don't really get that from her performance, but maybe.
It's just not enough scenes between her and Larry before the marriage, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because we basically go from groupie at the bar, fucking, and then marriage.
Well, because there is another version of this movie, whether it was one that actually did exist at some point or not, but it's that chronological one where it's like, okay, the story is the story of their marriage and how it fell apart, and then she tried to like murder him.
But also, boo, who wants to see that story?
That's the boring version of this story. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, no thanks. I've seen that before. Don't need to see it again. Thanks. What I do need to see is Suzanne trying on a montage of different panties in front of Lydia, who is just casually watching her and realizing, oh, these are not for my husband.
This is this whole sequence coming up. So we have this, which I did find it surprising that Nicole Kidman we're not showing nudity in this movie either. And maybe at this point Kidman hadn't done nudity. I'm not really sure, but
I don't think so.
But we have, again, very uncomfortable scene as she's changing in front of this minor. And this kind of goes, like transitions directly into Lydia telling... I put in my notes a joke in quotation marks. I said like this joke about Lydia letting her mom's boyfriend show her how to use her new body oil when she was 12. And I feel like it sounds like a joke at first, but then she says like, oh, when I was 12 years old. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, because initially you think, oh, that's uncomfortable. We shouldn't do that. And then you find out how old she was and the fact that she actually did get molested by this Chester, which I love that we even call this man Chester, because it's just like, oh, Chester the molester. Got it.
But I think, and again, I don't know a lot about the psychology of people who have endured child abuse, but I imagine like it probably causes some issues in your development process as you were growing up. And God, watching Suzanne prey on her, knowing all of this about her, and then you have to cut to Lydia saying like, she was my only real friend. And I wrote in my notes, it is like, but like, genuine.
It's heartbreaking.
It's so sad. And Folin does a really good job in this role. It is heartbreaking because I don't think there's a lot of pathos in this movie, but I do get it from Lydia.
Yeah, I think you could try to extend something to Jimmy, but he never really gets there. Like, I think in that final scene where he talks about how he can't wait to go to sleep because Suzanne is back there. But even then, it's not about Suzanne. She's still just a sex object to him. Whereas with Lydia, you really get the impression that she believed she and Suzanne were friends and that Suzanne was being honest with her. Because, in part, I think because the nature of their relationship never crosses into full sexual. Like, we can understand exactly how Suzanne is using Jimmy, and to a lesser extent, Russell, who just kind of fucks off in the middle of the movie.
Right.
But with Lydia, like, there is that simmering lesbian bisexual tension. And then we get to see how deeply invested Lydia is, but she still has more of an awareness. Like her line where she says, oh, and Suzanne would actually be really mad that I'm the one who got famous out of all of this. And you're like, oh, okay, you do kind of get it.
Okay, no, the line is Suzanne would die if she found out.
Yes, of course. Ha ha, ha ha. Dark comedy. Yes.
But I would say that I actually do think that Jimmy genuinely falls in love with Suzanne. I just think that his version of love is just very...
It's sexually motivated.
Yeah, it's very shallow.
Yeah.
But I think for him, it feels more than that.
I think if you asked him in his simple notions of like, what is love? Oh, it's a strong sexual connection. He's going to be like, yeah, I had that with Suzanne. Yeah. Unabashedly.
Yeah, even though he really didn't.
No, not really. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So we get the talk about the gun after we reveal that Lydia was molested. So cool. We're putting things together. And I do want to shout out a particularly small but memorable moment. So Larry leaves to go for some kind of trade show with his father. And we can clearly see that Suzanne is way too dressed up for just a night at home. Mm-hmm. She's clearly inviting the kids over so that she can start to put the moves on them. Literally, she gets them to dance. But I love that the transition from day to night is her doing this stretch. So as she turns and stretches, we just shift the lighting and it's like, now it's nighttime and Lydia and James are at the door.
Oh, I'm a sucker. You know what this reminded me of?
What's that?
New Moon.
Oh my God.
There's no, because I'm going to say they took it from To Die For. That scene in New Moon, whenever Edward like leaves her, he's like, oh, I can't be with you, and she's like, oh, I'm so depressed, I want to kill myself. But there's like a scene where she's just in her bedroom, and the camera rotates around Bella, Kristen Stewart, and we get the months go by as the passage of time just as the camera circles around her. That's what this felt like to me.
Yeah, I mean, I love a simple transition, which is probably much harder to execute than we realize because they're often done with no editing. So we get the kids to dancing. Of course, Suzanne is already imbibing. She's got a giant fucking glass of wine. And it's just about moving your body. You just have to move. So after we do a little bit of uncomfortable dancing, Lydia's clearly not feeling it. We send her to walk Walter the dog. And I did like the line, like a good little boy. But Suzanne says this as she is basically staring down Jimmy, and we realize, oh, there are two dogs in this scene. One of them is a human being that she's going to get to do her dirty work. So Lydia takes the dog for a walk, and this is the scene you referenced earlier. It's the sex scene we don't see, but we should note once again, if we are reading Lydia as minimum bisexual, possibly lesbian, she does voyeuristically stay to watch the fucking through the open door.
And I love that this is the way this is shot. This is the camera work that cinematographer was saying, oh, we copied this from Hitchcock's Frenzy. And yes. I do... Because we can hear Suzanne and Jimmy the entire time they're doing this. And it is kind of wild that Lydia doesn't do anything but watch them. But I guess you're right. Yeah, feeding into your lesbian read of Lydia. She wants to watch her.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could also argue that she is herself a bit innocent and naive, so maybe she's never actually seen people having sex in real life before.
Oh, God, but then you have to wonder, what is she imagining watching this, then having, like, flashbacks to her, like, molestation, you know?
Yeah.
Which, again, that's not something the film really grapples with outside of the initial mention of it in this movie.
But we can do that heavy lifting, right? Because these are both instances of statutory rape.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Right. Because Suzanne is statutory raping this kid. Absolutely.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Which I do appreciate, too, that they don't try to do that stupid, like, oh, he's actually, like, 18, but he was held back a year type thing. That's such a cop-out.
He's mature for his age. No, he's not.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is where we get the date with the fair, and we're having a great time. And I just thought, Suzanne, this is so public. How do you not think this is going to get out?
That's the other reason she's stupid. Like, there are parts in this movie where I'm like, Suzanne, you do not have a hold on these kids. Like, they are loose cannons, and I cannot believe that you thought this would work.
Yeah, because even if you want to say, well, I'm spending a bunch of time with them working on Teens Speak Out, there's no camera, and you're in the photo booth getting really intimate-looking pictures. What are we doing, Suzanne? Anyway, so yes, we get into the car for a rainy sequence. This is where she fakes that Larry is actually abusive. She worries that he would take all of her possessions. We float the idea of divorce.
But then we get again, this is one of my favorite things from any actor in any movie is when they kind of like turn on a dime, their mood, their emotion. And we have Kidman just like crying. Oh my God, he's hitting me.
I'm so scared. He hits me. Maybe I could move to another state like those other ladies. And then it's like, oh, I love this song.
Yeah, Sweet Home Alabama comes on the radio, and she's like, oh, love it! And she gets out and dances, and you can just tell that Jimmy is obsessed, like just in love with this woman. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I think that this is the shot that also makes us sort of fall in love with Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
Like, if you didn't know her before this performance is, as I said, perfection. But this moment, I remember it so vividly. It feels like you're watching a star being born.
Mm-hmm. And didn't get an Oscar nomination.
I cannot. I mean, that was a great list, but I cannot.
I think it's because Emma Thompson took the only comedy-ish slot for Sense and Sensibility.
Right. And let's be clear, an Austen role will often catapult you into that shortlist.
Yep.
So. Okay, yes. So we do get repeated references from both Lydia and James that they feel like they're living in movies, although we should note that they're very different movies. So James is a zombie who can't control himself, and Lydia is living in like the best version of her life ever. I thought this was interesting, right? Because the whole movie is trading in fantasy to a certain degree. Like Suzanne thinks that she can just will her way through sheer sort of American gumption into the job that she wants. Larry is living this fantasy life where he has a wife who actually wants to do the things he wants to do. And then we've got these kids who are like, oh, wow, we're having such a great time with this older lady who's going to give us all the things we want.
Yeah, which is really funny when you think about it. Like, Suzanne's like 10 years older than tops, which when you're 17, though, feels like a lot.
Yeah, she's like so mature, but then she's also young enough that she feels relatable, right? Like, oh, that could be us in just a couple of years.
Yeah.
Which is why I think she does look appropriately aged. Like, she could read young, she could read a bit older.
Yeah, I think it's the hair on it. And this is a wig, by the way, of course.
We started early with my girl. Yes, of course, because her hair is like hilariously curly in real life. Yeah, I do love Lydia's line where she says, I was living in this perfect movie, except it was kind of X-rated on account of all the sex stuff. So we do see Lydia holding on to Walter the dog as Suzanne blows Jimmy, but this is obviously not about the sex. This is about making sure the murder happens in an expeditious time frame.
Well, I mean, you got to, right?
You got to, because if Jimmy won't do it, then I guess we'll just have to go and fuck Russell, which, P.S., I love. Russell is not in this movie, in this section. Like, he basically only appears again when we do the murder, and then he will appear once more when he is arrested. Like, Casey Affleck is basically not in this film.
Well, it's fine, because he's not really much of a character. Honestly, like, I think he's too similar to Jimmy in both look and characterization, outside of the fact that Russell does seem a bit more malicious than Jimmy does.
Yeah, Affleck's delivery is just so gross, insidious, whereas Jimmy gets to play the lovesick puppy dog.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a question about this conversation, though. So she says, okay, when is this murder going to happen? I want it to happen soon. And he finally consents to it because, the blowjob is so good. She can suck the chrome off of a wood. And then she says, after Larry is gone, Jimmy can sleep over and they can do anything. And at this point, I was like, we've seen them have sex. And he will confess that they have had sex in a lot of different places in the lead up to the murder. So I wondered, Trace, is this butt stuff?
That's what I read it as butt stuff. Like, yeah, we can do whatever you want. I'll let you put it anywhere.
It's always butt stuff, right? Just to come back to Jade.
Or Cruel Intentions, even.
Or Cruel Intentions, yes.
Like, the straight man's fascination with putting it up the butt. It is, I mean, I guess you could argue the gay man's fascination with putting it up the butt, too, but still.
Well, I mean, that's like kind of the priority. Well, yeah.
Well, but it feels like a taboo for straight men, whereas it's not. That's not the case for gay men.
Right, yeah. Okay, so we've got Danny Elfman's score going hog wild at this moment, and this is the sort of pièce de résistance, especially once again if we're thinking about Curtis Clayton's editing. So we are cross-cutting between Suzanne doing her late night weather sign off as we have the murder unfolding, and of course we do know that this is the 1 year anniversary because we just saw them celebrate.
And I wrote in my notes, that's it?
Yeah. Like, folks, you didn't even want to try to give it a couple of years. It's this funny thing. It's called couples counseling therapy. Everybody should try.
1 year after the year after you're married goes by. 1 year in general goes by so quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Did I almost divorce my husband over the course of our first year of marriage? Yeah, because you had to figure it out. Like, you got to do a lot of the work because all of a sudden being married is different. But the reality is like, we barely see Suzanne and Larry have a conversation this entire movie.
Which I would argue is part of the point. That's intentional. Yeah. It's very intentional.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Like, I think it's a bit of a problem for helping us to understand why she married him in the first place. But in terms of why is she plotting to kill him and why did the marriage fall apart, we don't need any more scenes.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you think of this instance where Jimmy is basically... I love the shift between him holding the gun and Russell edging him to pull the trigger. And God, poor Larry, so dumb. He honestly thinks he's going to be able to walk away from this. Like, they're not even wearing masks.
Yeah, because you have Russell the entire time saying, "All right, man, get the gun, get the watch and do it." So there's never let's get the watch and go. It's you need to kill him. And Larry's like, "No, take this." It's pretty obvious they're going to kill you. I do think that Phoenix has really good performance. It's mostly dialogue free. Like, he is saying a couple words every now and then, but you can tell he's hesitating. And the only thing that really gets him through it is when he's looking at Suzanne on the news station, on the TV.
Yeah. It's not the best version of him, but he's looking at the best version of her because she's on TV.
One thing I like, though, so he does kill Larry. He shoots him a bunch of times, which I believe is shown off screen. It is off screen, but we get this extreme close up of Larry's eye that then almost turns to stone. I wrote changing color, but I think maybe the given effect is it's turning to stone. I don't really know.
Okay, is it meant to be that's where the bullet is taking the place of the eyeball?
Yeah, but no, because the bullet would already be inside of him, though. Like, it's his corpse on his eye that's dead and open. The color part just turns like this blue stone gray color.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
I just didn't know why we did that. I thought that was it was interesting. I just didn't know what the reasoning was behind it.
No, it's just from Alive to Dead.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's this idea of, like the soul leaving his body, so he doesn't have that animated life behind the eyes anymore.
Because normally when you get that in a movie, it's like, oh, like the pupil like either contracts or dilates. I think it dilates, actually. Maybe that's what it does. But so this didn't do that. We just changed the color of the iris.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Okay, so yes, we've got the families being questioned. This is mostly silent stuff. So we actually get to see Janice get a phone call and she breaks down. The police are swabbing the TV because we do have either blood splatter or brain matter on the screen. And then The Star Spangled Banner plays because, the channel has gone to dark at the end of the day, and Suzanne notes that there are lights outside, so she checks her makeup and then she walks outside in slow motion.
This scene, because I think the whole time you're watching this, we as the audience, we know Suzanne by this point. We know that she is going to go out there and talk to these reporters instead of 100%. Grieve with the rest of her family. But
yes,
there is just something. There is just something so. Like, I was aghast, like, watching this film. I'm like, I know you're going to do this, but don't do it. Like, this
girl, no.
The optics look so bad.
Because she doesn't even pretend to look sad. No. She's fluffing her hair and checking to make sure that her lipstick is still applied. And you're just like, this can't look good for you in any way.
Not in any way. But she doesn't care. And no. She is so laser focused on, I'm going to be on TV, that she gets so sloppy. She's already been sloppy.
Yeah, it's almost like watching a moth being drawn to the flame. Mm-hmm. The minute she sees those TV lights, I gotta be out there.
Yeah. Meanwhile, cut to the funeral, and all she does...
Oh my God. All by myself.
She makes it about her!
It's all about her, the extreme narcissism of this woman. And of course, we cut to Janice, because Janice is fully back into this film, and yes, thank God. But of course, we've got Janice tearfully admitting that this is when she knew Suzanne had gotten rid of her brother. And, you mentioned those other scenes that got cut, and I think it would have been great to have gotten more of the character. As I said, I would love to have more, but I think this transition works. Like, it makes perfect sense. It's very expeditious, but it gets the point across.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. So Lydia shows up at Suzanne's door and is basically like, how come you won't talk to me anymore? And Suzanne essentially says, get the fuck out of here. We said we were not going to talk to each other anymore. And also, like, it can't be like it was before. And I love that there's no pretense. Like, Suzanne is not playing around with these kids anymore. The minute the murder was committed, I no longer need any of you, and it's actually better if you all fuck off.
Well, and that's the thing. I wrote in my notes, like, she does not seem stressed or worried that these kids are going to tell somebody, to which it's like, y'all, come on. So, again, if you're planning to do this, you should maybe talk to the kids and be like, hey, but by the way, after this, we have to not see each other. But she probably knew that by saying that, Jimmy was not going to do it.
Yeah, it seemed, the impression that I got was that she had mentioned this, but she hadn't really strictly enforced it. And then now we're having difficulty kind of cutting the cord. But I just think there's something so cruel about the way Suzanne says, get real to Lydia.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the harsh light of reality is now come upon us, and everything you thought was real is actually fake, and you need to get the fuck off my property.
And again, like, this is in Foland's performance, but it's like there's such like a innocent naivete there that even when she's being told this by Suzanne, like, she's still like, it doesn't sink in. It never sinks in at any point in this movie.
I think she maybe gets there in that final moment where she says, oh, Suzanne would just die if she knew that I was the one who gets famous out of it. But even that, it's not quite to the full extent, is it?
It doesn't come across as like, oh, man, like, I'm like, fuck her, man. Like, I won. No, it comes across.
There's no vindictiveness.
It comes across like, oh, yeah, man, Suzanne would have really loved this. Like, that's how it comes across.
That is fair. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about these incriminating tapes, because it doesn't seem like nobody falls for Suzanne's bullshit. So we see Ed talking about how the tapes have been seized. Suzanne tries to collect them so that she can just, edit the documentary as we sort of move past my husband's death. So then we get to watch a clip. This is the one that apparently went viral. All of these different outlets used it and apparently made a little bit of money off of it. So he's quite proud for that. Trace, we asked the kids what they think about AIDS.
And it's what? Queers, perversion, and I'm paraphrasing here, but I believe I mean Russell.
Says, the old Hershey
Highway, which was a new term for me, but
Oh, really? I heard this all the time.
Hershey Highway.
This was a big old gay slur back in the day.
Oh my God, so all these straight men that wanted to fuck their women up the ass, are they not worried about the Hershey Highway?
Well, no, because it's a gay disease. You could only get it if you were fucking other men.
But you can get shit from everyone.
Oh, yes.
Like, Like,
it's called hypocrisy, Trace.
Like literal shit.
Uh-huh.
Anyway.
You think women know how to douche out those buttholes? Maybe.
Paint that dick.
Maybe not.
Paint that dick.
Okay, gross.
I know, right?
So,
isn't that weird?
I do love, though, that Jimmy, because he is so dim, he's just such a low wattage light bulb of a man. We get to watch him answer this question, and he basically says, in no uncertain terms, that he is absolutely fucking Suzanne because of the way he says, his woman is very clean.
Okay, but then he winks at the camera, and Suzanne clocks this, and the fact that she did not immediately huck this tape in the fire.
Erase that tape, bitch.
Again, stupid movie. Why did you keep that? Why? Unless because she's such a fucking narcissist, it was about her, so she wanted to keep it.
I mean, don't forget that this is followed by her talking about how the prestigious folks at PBS might now be interested in her hot commodity.
I know. I've got this. Actually, is my favorite piece, like thing that Suzanne says in the entire movie. So
yeah,
she goes, of course, I realize, and I hope this doesn't sound callous, that the upside to all of this, assuming justice prevailed, is that I would have in my documentary an extremely marketable commodity, something that even PBS would take an interest in, which of course would mean a smaller audience, but a much larger prestige factor.
Yeah. See, that could have been your opening line because it's another fucking banger.
It was too long, Joe.
No, it's never too long. Never.
But I love that. Like, oh yeah, like a much larger prestige factor on PBS.
On PBS, but a lower financial compensation.
Well, she got so excited about PBS. I was like, girl, PBS ain't going to be paying you a bunch of money for this shit. They are public broadcasting.
But I mean, here's the thing, is where she eventually goes is she does believe she's making this direct address tape. She does say it's for Hollywood, which leads me to believe she ultimately went for whatever she thought was going to be the bigger financial compensation. Yeah, I mean, not PBS.
Because anytime she's interviewed, she's always like, well, in this documentary that I'm working on, which already has so many people talking about it in Hollywood, blah, 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 blah. It's like, these are all lies.
Yeah. We should note that in between these scenes is when the boys do get arrested. So, you know, we didn't have to look very hard or long to find the culprits.
Well, because they said there were bits of seashells or shells left at the crime scene, which are from Casey Affleck Russell, because he works as a fucking fisherman.
He's a fisherman. Yeah. And I think they said that there was blood stains still on James's shoes.
Yeah, like these kids,
they did not cover up anything. Which here's the thing: we have said that Suzanne is very bad at certain things and that she seems very stupid. But I think she honestly did plan for these boys to get caught very quickly. It's the reason why she was so specific about never asking them to do anything, is because she thought that was enough distance where even if they said, "Oh, I was fucking her," "Oh, she asked us to do this," "Oh, she paid us," she would say, "Oh, I never did any of that." Well, like, you can't prove that I asked them to do it.
But as Suzanne will tell Lydia in a bit, which is like, no, who's going to believe them? Like, it's these two junky guys and me. And what I love about this movie is that is an argument that would be used in any kind of plot like this, but it doesn't work for her.
Right. Well, Trace, even if it was true, who's going to believe you?
Oh my God. Everyone go watch Cry Wolf.
And then listen to our full-length Patreon episode on it from last month.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Jimmy does proceed to tell detectives Warden, who is played by Tim Hopper, as well as DeLuca, who is played by Michael Rispoli, that, he and Suzanne definitely fucked, and the list goes on.
I mean, the scene goes on. It's so
just
funny.
Like, oh no, somebody needs to stop him from talking, but also, wow, they really fucked a bunch.
But then he ends by saying, like, he's breaking down crying, saying, look, I think the last thing he says is, we were in love. So whether they were, I mean, obviously she was not, but like, he really believed they were in love. And it is heartbreaking. It is very heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking because you understand just how predatory she was to go after somebody so young and vulnerable, and yes, very dumb and full of cum, but it's like, oh wow, she plotted this exceptionally well, at least in who she was targeting.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah, Lydia fares slightly better, but not much because she does get wiretapped and we meet Suzanne at the mall once again. And Suzanne kind of shows a bit more of her colors, but we don't get anything useful out of this encounter.
No, because this is where she is smart. Because because I thought she was for sure going to find out that Lydia was wearing the wire because she pokes Lydia's stomach saying, "Oh, you're getting fat."
No, she says you're losing weight.
Oh, you're losing weight. Yes, I'm sorry. She does say, "Oh, in spite of your lesbian tendencies to Lydia," which I definitely clocked. My favorite beat of all this, she tells keep your fucking mouth shut. We cut back to the cops at the end of this scene, and it's not even that they're mad they don't have anything to use. They look aghast at the things this woman is saying.
Yeah.
Like they are mortified and in shock at how horrible this woman is.
Oh, wow. She is truly terrible.
And if the cops are thinking that, it's bad.
Well, even stuff like, I think it's a pretty easy read to say that Suzanne picked on people who are younger, not quite as intelligent, but also poor, right? Like, that's the other impression I got. Is like many of these kids seem to be coming from not great homes, maybe with absent parents or sexually abusive parents, or just like money is an issue. Like, that's part of what makes Suzanne attractive, is that she's very sexy, she's very charismatic, but also she has money, which is something none of these kids have. So when she says something like, "I'm a professional person, I come from a good home." Like, I think there's such an interesting, sly class reading to a statement like that. And the film doesn't need to unpack it because we've already got the visual look of the kids and we've seen the little snippets from the documentary footage. But I was just like, I really appreciate that these moments are in here because Suzanne would absolutely play on that.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, God.
Okay, so we ultimately try to go after Suzanne because we, knew she was the ringleader, but the tapes are found to be inadmissible in court. This is when Suzanne walks through the press scrum, and oh my God, this is such a fucking good moment. Yeah. We get her point of view, and it's just applause.
Like, actually, so yeah.
It's so good, Trace.
This is the other fantasy sequence that matches Joaquin watching her on the TV. Yeah. I don't think I've ever clocked this moment, or if I have, I totally forgot about it. But yeah, the fact that we are in her head, and she's not hearing the flashes, she's not hearing anything people are asking her, she just hears, this is great.
Yeah, it's like she might as well be accepting an award on behalf of these people, because these are her adoring audience. They're eating up everything that she's saying and doing. It's wild. Yeah. I do also love that she name drops the documentary as people are asking her questions like, "Suzanne, did you have those kids kill your husband?" And she's like, "Well, I think, when teens speak out comes out." You're just like, "Bitch, you are not hawking your shit while you are being investigated for murder."
I didn't go and look at footage of Pamela Smart's interviews, but again, there's that one thing where that author Joyce Maynard, she said, like, she was so like TV ready, and like she seemed like this is what she wanted, like she was living off the fame. I really would like to go see those actual. I'm sure they're out there. I mean, it was a big case.
Oh, I'm sure it's on YouTube. Yeah. And I'm willing to bet that Gus Van Sant probably recreated whole sections for moments like this.
I would believe it.
Yeah. Okay, so this is also where Suzanne plants this idea that Larry had a coke problem, and that was his connection to the kids. He knew them because she was interviewing them for the documentary, but then they became his suppliers and things got bad. This is when we see Joe Moretto. So we have Dan Hedaya re-entering the picture, and when he hears this slander against his son, he just fully destroys the TV.
Okay. But, which, by the way, great. I believe that they just let Hedaya go nuts on this actual TV because it looks great.
Yeah.
We have like maybe 10 minutes left of this movie.
Yeah, we're so close to the end. It's wild.
But this is the moment. This is when we get to see what this not fourth wall breaking confessionals that Suzanne's been giving. She's just taping it herself to give to a mysterious studio executive who reached out to her.
Yeah, she basically insinuates that there's a kind of spy game thing, and she's very excited about it. But right before this reveal, though, we also have her parents confirming that this is the last time that they saw their daughter. So that's a new piece of information that, we wouldn't have really clocked because we assume, oh, well, she's still she's still alive and kicking because we've seen her giving this direct address throughout the entire film. But then when we see her get up, collect the tape, grab her purse, grab Walter the dog, and you're like, oh.
Well, but I guess that's the thing, though. We don't walk into this movie knowing that Suzanne is going to die by the film's end. So that is a surprise. But I think it's important, though, that this is all just an act for her, because is there a moment in the film outside of this interaction with Lydia that we just discussed where we really see Suzanne's true colors? Like, where she's not putting on a facade for whoever's watching. Because, again, she always acts as if someone's watching her, except in that moment with Lydia and maybe one or two other moments in the film. But I think as an audience member you're watching, you're like, I feel like you do get Suzanne. You know Suzanne by the end of this film.
We know who she is, but we've never seen the real her. I would argue there is one other moment, and it's another moment with Lydia, which lends credence to the fact that Lydia truly thought that they were friends, because, the disguise, the perfection was slipping. It's when she's doing the panty montage, because the way she is talking about Larry not supporting her career, I very much get the impression that is Suzanne actually voicing that and believing it.
Yeah. No, I think you're probably right. But I just imagine that's also probably what made audiences back in those test audiences be like, she's not sympathetic enough, because you don't really get to know Suzanne outside of what she wants you to know.
Yeah. And here's the funny thing, right? If this was a man, we would be like, wow, look at him. It's Wall Street, give him all the blow and let him make all the deals and get really super rich. It's the American dream. Right. But because it's a lady, well, shouldn't she be thinking about settling down? Like, why did she marry this dude? Why isn't she having kids? And so on and so on. And I'm not going to pretend like, oh, wow, the division is so stark between men and women. But the reality is that we don't get a ton of female anti-heroes. I think it's one of the reasons why we suggested some of those double bill features, is because all of those films feature women who are tricky and unlikable and maybe unlovable, but the reality is that they're just flawed human beings.
Yeah, and that's what Nicole Kidman was trying to get at when she said, like, I came to America and I was like, where are all the good women roles? And it's basically
complicated women.
Complicated, and again, quote unquote, unlikable women.
Yes, we don't like unlikable women. We like fuckable women. Suzanne is definitely fuckable, but also I don't want to hear about her career ambition.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, needless to say, she has this clandestine meeting with Man at Lake, played by David Cronenberg, and we can immediately tell that something is off, in part because it's David Cronenberg, and he is just kind of fucking scary when he shows up as an actor and things. Yeah. But he grabs her hand, like he shakes her hand, and it is clear that he shakes it quite firmly and hurts her.
He squeezes her hand really hard. Again, they're meeting in the middle of nowhere. Like, really, she has the dog, which he looks surprised by.
I didn't sign up to kill this dog.
There's a restriction. So he basically, he gets her out of the car. She's wearing this pink slip of a dress with a coat on, where I was like, you are not dressed for this weather, girl.
That's fantastic. Let's take her down a hill.
And she's like, where are we going? And they walk around this bend, and I love this. The camera holds for, I want to say 10 to 15 seconds. And
it feels like an eternity.
You are waiting for a bullet shot.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come.
No, never comes. So presumably, I imagine he strangles her, right?
I imagine he either strangled her or there was a bullet that we just weren't privy to hear. But
it could have been a
But given that we do kind of see her body under this lake, like, it doesn't look like there's any blood anywhere, and like she looks very Snow White.
Yes.
I'm going to say strangulation for sure.
Yeah. So we do get to see Walter barking in Man at Lake's car as he places a call to Joe, and I love that the camera zooms in on Joe and Angela's faces just to make sure that you understand they ordered this hit.
They placed the hit. They're in the mafia. That nugget of information that you thought was maybe offensive is just true in this movie.
It's actually true in the film, which is maybe still offensive, but also kind of fucking hilarious.
So funny. I mean, and that's how she goes out. Our girl goes out with a mafia hit.
It's kind of great. So we do get a bit of a coda with James. We learn that he got 30 years. We learn that Russell took a plea deal and got 16. And Lydia will apparently be appearing on Oprah.
She's the most famous one. She's the most famous one. Which, by the way, though, is Oprah the butt of the joke in that joke that Suzanne was told early in the film? The woman who has the mouth like a Hoover or whatever?
Oh,
because she makes it.
You know what?
She makes a big deal out of it, where she's like, "Oh, like I know, I watch her show every day," and I was like, "This would have been peak Oprah, maybe."
That is wild. Yeah, I'm willing to bet that it must be that, because I, for some reason, went to Barbara Walters, because we do list a bunch of famous female reporters, but I think the sort of signal in that is I watch her show every day.
Yeah, although I guess because Barbara, was she 60 Minutes? No,
I think so.
Yeah, so I guess would you call that Barbara's show? I wouldn't call it that, you know.
Maybe it was her and was it Dan Rather?
I think so. Oh God.
Yeah. Anyway, it's one of those things where you're just like, oh, okay. If that is who we were making a joke about, then this is just even
it's
better.
Even funnier.
Right? Like it's even funnier. It's better screenwriting. So let's say that and go with it. And then, of course, I'm going to say, iconic shot. Like, I think if people have watched this movie, they will remember this indelible image of Suzanne's body in the hot pink dress under the ice as we just get to watch Janice figure skating over it. The long term, this is not going to work out for them, because as soon as spring comes and this ice melts, we got to move that body. But it makes a great final shot.
I mean, again, literally not dancing on the grave of your enemy, but you are ice skating on the grave of your enemy. And the whole credit just plays over the 6 weeks of training that Ileana Douglas got to ice skate.
She looks great. Yeah. And we're doing this to Donovan's Season of the Witch.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Which could be called Season of the Bitch for Suzanne.
It's a great ending. It's a great movie. I love this thing. It's yay to die for. No notes.
It's just so fucking good. Yeah. And it feels like the kind of film that I think a lot of people have forgotten about because it was a little art house indie. So, 30 years later, it's time to revisit it, folks.
Yeah. And especially if you were a person who, like me, just saw the poster and was like, okay, fine, it's Nicole Kidman being sexy. Like, that's great. But it is, I don't think the marketing, or at least the poster for this movie, communicates a dark comedy that you're going to get. And it is whip smart, biting satire, and really good. Really funny, really good. Great performances all around. Again, I said, no notes.
Yeah, 3.6.
3.6 out of 5.
Motherfuckers.
Okay, everyone. Well, before we announce what we're covering next week, just some quick housekeeping. If you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us on Blue Sky and Instagram at HorrorQueers. Shoot us an email at horrorqueers@gmail.com. Find us on Letterboxd to keep track of all the films we've covered. If you want to chat with other listeners, please join our Horror Queers Discord. If you have a moment, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you want even more content, please support the show by becoming a patron at patreon.com/horrorqueers. If you subscribe today, you will get 424 hours of Patreon content, including this month's new episodes on Hannibal Season 2, episodes 9 and 10, Bone Lake, The Strangers Chapter 2, The Black Phone, and in anticipation of next month's brand new Predator film, Predator Badlands, we're doing an audio commentary on the animated Predator Killer of Killers.
Yeah, I'm excited to finally have an excuse to check it out.
I am too. I've heard it's really good. And everyone, also, with the end of Alien Earth, our requel tier is quiet or maybe inactive right now, but all the content is still there. So if you have not checked out our episode-by-episode coverage of both Season 1 of Alien Earth and Season 2 of The Last of Us, you should sign up now and go listen.
And Trace and I are currently making some plans about where we might go next with the requel. If folks have suggestions or thoughts, do let us know. But yeah, some really top-tier content in there, and obviously some exciting stuff happening this month.
Yes, but Joe, all this talk about David Cronenberg, what are we talking about next week?
It's another anniversary, aka an excuse for me to wield my power and take us back to Canada, Trace. So we'll stick around Toronto. And we're going to talk about the 50th anniversary of Shivers.
Oh, man. Cronenberg's
rapey slugs.
I love Shivers so much. Content warnings for lots of rapey slugs, in this movie. Actually, rape and there's a lot of sexual assault in this movie. But great movie. And it is definitely a Cronenberg film.
It is indeed. Yeah.
But until next week, we can cross out To Die For.
Yes, and cross out Horror Queers.
The Toxic Avenger is finally available to watch at home. Macon Blair's certified fresh action comedy starring Peter Dinklage, Taylor Page, Jacob Tremblay, with Elijah Wood and Kevin Bacon is now available on your favorite digital platform. Go to toxicavenger.com/bloodyfm and get ready to laugh along to the radioactive mayhem from the comfort of your couch. That's toxicavenger.com/bloodyfm.